and you're live.
All right. Welcome, directors. I'm calling the meeting to order. We're going to start with our invocation led by Director Austin Lombard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Please join me in prayer. Lord, thank you for the opportunity to serve the great citizens of Orange County. We ask that you provide us with your wisdom today as we approach the issues presented to us for deliberation. Please guide us to good decisions that benefit our communities. We pray that you bless our agency, our boards, TCA staff, and our many customers. And we ask that you protect those who work to keep our roadways operating and safe. And to please always protect our first responders and emergency personnel. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Director Murphy will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If you'd please rise if you are able, face the flag closest to you, and join me in the salute to the flag of this great nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director. Okay, now I'll ask the clerk to take roll.
Good morning, Madam Chair and honorable directors. Kaylee Doolittle, interim clerk of the board. I will now proceed with the roll call. Vice Chair Will O'Neill.
Here.
Director Connors.
Here.
Director Heft. Director Hurt.
Here.
Director James.
Present.
Director Minigar.
Present.
Director Reynolds. Director Vixoric.
Here.
Chair Wong.
I'm present.
Vice Chair Miller.
Here.
Director Beal.
Here.
Director Chafee.
Present.
Director Lombard.
Here.
Director Murphy.
Here.
Director Trevor O'Neill.
Here.
Director Voigt.
Here, thank you.
Director Ward.
Present.
Chair Kelly.
Here.
Director Bartlett. Director Khan.
Here.
Director Penaloza.
Here.
Director Taylor.
Here.
Director Wagner.
Here.
Director Chamberlain.
Good morning, here.
Looping back, Director Heft. Director Reynolds. Director Bartlett.
Yes, he is here.
Alternate Goebel.
Yes.
Madam Chair, noting the absence of Director Heft and Director Reynolds, we have quorum on both boards.
Great, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, moving on to the public comments. Madam Clerk, did we receive any public comments?
At this time, I'd like to remind everyone during live public broadcasting, members of the public may address the joint boards of directors regarding any items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the joint boards of directors, but no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes for all comments unless the chair, subject to the approval of the boards of directors, set different time limits. Madam Chair, we have received multiple public comments.
Okay.
Can you note the quantity?
Yes, we have 25.
Okay, we have 25 public comments, and let's get started on those comments. Before you read, I wanted to make sure there's nobody on the phone. Okay, looks like we're just submitting everybody. Okay.
Excuse us one second, Madam Chair. Director Heft is trying to connect, and I'm wondering if she is using a different name.
Okay, we're trying to Director Heft.
And Madam Chair, while we're working to connect, considering the number of public comments, I don't know if you want to
Yes,
consider
we
extending the
should
time.
go ahead and just, in the interest of time, let's get started on the public comments while we try to connect the directors.
Public comment number 1 received by Jay Doe. I'll begin now. To the TCA boards of directors and everyone who is listening.
Please mute your phones.
I started following the TCA and the toll roads years ago due to an issue that has been resolved. Everyone listening, take whatever Michelle Schumacher and the cronies in her cesspool say about TCA with a grain of salt. They are being advised by Harvey Englander's PR firm. Look him up and you'll learn about how he uses PR to take down big brands and organizations. The city of San Clemente just renewed another contract with him for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Look it up. His number 1 job is to take down the TCA. Michelle Schumacher is his puppet. With the TCA boards of directors, will the TCA boards of directors ever fact check public comments? Nearly everything Michelle Schumacher and her cronies say and write is PR spin. Just enough facts to barely qualify as factual. She always points out how much TCA spends on PR, but she and San Clemente are the only ones with a PR firm now, and they are paying a pretty penny. On Facebook, Michelle Schumacher posts old news stories, old videos, old receipts, old everything. She purposely misleads people to believe her old lies and are new truths. She also purposely spreads lies and passes them off as facts, and the San Clemente reps of the TCA board just let it happen. They fan the flame, and Harvey Englander and Michelle Schumacher dance around it. Sincerely, Jay Doe, into public comment. Public comment 2, received from Zen Wu. I will begin now. To whom it may concern, please read the following comments during the March 11th meeting. Chair Wong, Kelly, and board members, my name is Zen Wu, a longtime San Clemente resident, architect, certified planner, and planning commissioner of San Clemente. Thank you for the unanimous vote in March 2020 to stop the toll road from extending past Oso Parkway. Last year, Senator Pat Bates introduced Senate Bill 1373 to memorialize the decision you've made. It passed by a bipartisan and overwhelming 24-6 vote. This bill is back now as SB 760 with identical language. I'm confident that it will pass again. Please do not waste taxpayers' money to advocate against SB 760. Similarly, SB 761 Bates provides further protection to San Clemente's open space, but the language is narrowly crafted to be applicable to San Clemente only. The Interstate 5 and extension of Los Patronos Parkway as a county arterial are also exempt. Therefore, TCA's concern has been adequately addressed. I appreciate your willingness to respect and protect Richard and Donna O'Neill Conservancy, as well as the San Onofre State Park, and your settlement on the green alignment. The open spaces and conservation easements integrated with San Clemente's built environment deserve no less protection. They deserve more because they are integral and indispensable parts of our human habitat. I hope that you will make the right decision to not to oppose SB 761. Please, from San Clemente, we appreciate your support. Thank you for your consideration. Zen Wu, into public comment. Public comment 3 from Sean Gordon. I will begin now. I would like to know why RSM Mayor Tony Beal is still on the board. He publicly stated in a city council meeting in December 2019 or January 2020 that he had to step down because he had no time for it, and Councilwoman Figueroa was to take his place. At the same time, he was facing a recall campaign in RSM, which he avoided by telling the entire city that he would not run for city council again. In both instances, he was deceitful, as he has spent more time on TCA business than on city business. And he ran for city council again, spending tens of thousands of dollars to hold the seat. He should be rejected from the board as a dishonest actor. Into public comment. Public comment number 4 received from Jennifer Aquino. I will begin now. Dear TCA board members, I ask you to vote no on opposing Pat Bates legislation. I was concerned to hear Tony Beal in the joint committee meeting casting stones at Senator Bates and her 2 incredible bills that are much needed after the TCA's 25-year expenseful, unfruitful attempt to complete the last segment of the 241 Southern Toll Road. The 241 at the southern section is criminally underused, and that an agency would continue to throw our money at a problem that does not exist. The public does not support and provides mobility only for a few wealthy people to shave off 2 to 3 minutes is not right and is not economic waste and discrimination, or is. The TCA's own demographic study showed that the toll road users are 50-year-old white males that own 2 homes. South OC has many students and seniors who can't afford to use the toll roads. These roads were to be paid down and made free. Yet the TCA is asking you to vote to give the lobbyists more of our money. Sorry, they make more than our entire half of a city in 1 year annually already through the TCA pursuits. The toll system is now complete. 25 years of hemorrhage of money for the impossible that provides no benefit should not be revisited by a future board, as Mr. Beal suggests. The legislation has zero to do with other agencies. Thankfully, the other agencies leave more responsibility with taxpayers' money. Thank you, and I urge you to strongly oppose this joint power quest for empire building and power play greedy grab, and put a stop its debt creation machine. TCA staff should be happy they completed 97% of the plan. Sometimes in life, our plans don't come to completion how we had hoped. It takes leadership and accountability to acknowledge when it is time to say no to the flowing money, regardless of accomplishments or achievements in this case, greatly lacking in both. Thank you, Jennifer Aquino. Into public comment. Public comment number 5 from Native SoCal. I'll begin now. We had over 86,000 signatures on petitions to stop the 241 extensions that were so damaging. They never should have been considered in the first place. We heard it was a cash cow, and if they could just get to the 5 freeway, what a windfall and the money the TCA could collect. What is the value of money when you are irresponsible and fail to pay down the bonds? No one lives owing billions of dollars outstanding. The agency should focus on one thing, which is eliminating the debt burden they have created for our county. Being a cash cow when our county has legitimate issues that need attention, yet this is where funds are being spent not right. The TCA is in March unanimously voted to stop the process and proceed with the no-build option. It is time this board does the right thing and stops throwing more money after something that is never going to happen. The TCA legislation says that it ends and terminates south of San Clemente. The board voted to have it end at Oso. So what is the problem? Please vote no to oppose the legislation. In fact, we call on all to vote to support Pat Bates legislation, and the agency does a letter to support it. This is the 4th bill that has been brought over the past 6 years. Last year, it passed the entire Senate and could not process due to COVID. There is no support for roads for the rich, destruction of open space, taking homes and businesses for a road that only few can use and provides little mobility benefits, as the TCA endless studies demonstrated. Please support Pat Bates legislation and direct the chairs to support her bill. Thank you, and we hope common sense can prevail for a change with this agency. Native SoCal. In a public comment. Public comment number 6 from Tony, Ultimate Dent Repair. I'll begin now. I am a longtime business owner, homeowner, and resident in Orange County. I respectfully ask you to support Pat Bates legislation. There is no fear that it harms other agencies. You do not represent these other agencies, and this is strictly a TCA matter due to poor behavior and reckless spending. Please do the right thing and know that the entire county supports you and elected you to represent and protect taxpayers. Be well, Tony, Ultimate Dent Repair. End of public comment. Public comment number 7 from Jerry Colmer. I'll begin now. Dear TCA Board, to ensure the future's greatness of this, our beautiful county, please support Pat Bates' bills 760 and 761. Thank you. 25 years resident of OC, Jerry and Carrie Colmer. Into public comment. Public comment number 8 from Diana Dolson. I'll begin now. To the TCA Board. Dear members of the TCA Board, the purpose of my email is to encourage you in the strongest possible terms to support Pat Bates SB 760. There has been so much discord and deviousness in South Orange County over the toll road issue. There are so many more pressing concerns these days with the pandemic and its consequences. Remember that in March of 2020, the board decided to stop the toll road at Oso Parkway. Please be honest and true to that decision and let us heal, knowing that the board is honor bound to follow the promise made in March. Most sincerely, Diana Dolson. Into public comment.
Madam Clerk, I'm going to give you a little break and take a breather and drink some water because we have many more. Directors, we're approaching that 20-minute mark for the comments. Prior to the meeting, I had a chance to ask about the subject matter for these public comments. They're pretty much all related to item number 10, so it would make sense to keep them together. So I want to make a motion to extend the public comment so we can finish all of the comments right now instead of waiting until after the minutes. So if I can get a second on my motion to extend public comment so we can finish, I would really appreciate your help.
Second,
Second by,
James.
thank you. Second by Director James. All right, we need to take a vote.
How do we?
Do we need to vote on this?
It says subject to board approval.
Yeah, so we do. Sorry, I didn't give you the break you needed.
So does she need a motion from each board?
Motion.
Oh, I need a motion
and
from,
second from each board.
okay, I need a motion from each board and second by each board. So that means I just made the motion on behalf of Foothill. I'm seeking a second on Foothill as well as someone to make a motion on behalf of San Joaquin.
Second for-
Foothill second.
And-
This is Murphy.
This is Cynthia.
Okay.
I'll move for San Joaquin. I'll
Second on
and
San Joaquin.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
With that, if you can take a roll and I'll get you some water.
Vice Chair Will O'Neill,
Aye.
Director Connors,
Aye.
Director Hess,
Aye.
Director Hertz,
Aye.
Director James,
Aye.
Director
Aye.
Minigar,
Aye.
Director Reynolds,
Aye.
Director Vic Sorick,
Aye.
Chair Wong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Beal,
Aye.
Director Chafee,
Aye.
Director Lombard,
Aye.
Director Murphy,
Aye.
Director Trevor O'Neill,
Aye.
Director Voigt,
Yes.
Director Ward,
Aye.
Chair Kelly,
Yes.
Director Bartlett, Alternate Goebel,
Yes.
Director Khan,
Yes.
Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Wagner.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously on both boards.
Thank you. I was hoping to give you a break and I didn't. With that, please continue.
Public comment number 9 received from Christina Teets Nelson. I'll begin now. Hi there. This is just a quick email to request that you support the 2 bills put on by Pat Bates for the March 11th meeting. Thank you so much, Christina Teets Nelson. Into public comment. Public comment number 10 received from Kathleen Hale. I'll begin now. I'm writing to ask for the board to support the Pat Bates 2 bills. Here in Irvine, because the toll roads are costly, residents avoid using them. This does not help the heavy traffic we have in Irvine, and it is driving traffic onto the surface streets because people are avoiding the toll roads. Sincerely, Kathleen Hale, Irvine resident. Into public comment. Public comment number 11 from Diana Scott. I'll begin now. Dear boards of directors, I wanted to ask you to support Pat Bates' 2 bills. We are so thankful for her greatly needed leadership in this matter. Hopefully, if the TCA could have some integrity and fulfill finally on executing the March 20th vote for the no build option, this will allow the route description to be accordingly updated. Many thanks, and we appreciate your support and responsibility on this important matter. Diana Scott. Into public comment. Public comment number 12 received from Nathan Scott. I'll begin now. Good afternoon. I was really taken back to hear that Nossman, a law firm who after 26-something years is finally getting a contract review, is making up untrue talking points about Pat Bates' bill. Ironic it is not they reap the most money and benefit after setting up the TCA, and here they fight, claw, and scratch to keep the money flowing. It does not matter if the ideas and routes are bad and destructive. It does not matter if the previous TCA board or elected officials voted to stop the process and proceed with the no build option 1 year ago. We ask that you, the TCA board, take control of this continually out of line agency and do not oppose Pat Bates' bill. Instead, support each bill and stand up for all taxpayers you were elected to represent. Thank you, and may the force be with you to stand up to a law firm that is used to calling the shots with no questions from the people who are leading this agency and ultimately responsible to the taxpayers at the end of the day as our elected officials. I hope to see by midday that you have done your job and protected taxpayers from this waste. Nathan, Orange County Millennial. Into public comment. Public comment 13 received from Marina and Chris Clark. I'll begin now. Please support Pat Bates' 2 bills, Marina and Chris Clark. Into public comment. Public comment number 14 received from Michelle Schumacher. I'll begin now. Good morning, San Joaquin and Foothill board members. I have followed the TCA now for many years. I have read the formation documents, resolutions since the 1980s, forward for both the TCA and the county, outside TCA agreements, contracts, and have followed closing the agency for some time. I was impressed with the new board members' questions, comments, and suggestions at one of the committee meetings last month. Thank you for stepping up and diving into work. Also, thank you, Mr. Johnson, for calling me about the company being paid by the TCA that has not existed since 2006. He explained it was a coding accounting glitch. I will look forward to the revised pay summary once this has been corrected. Previously, when I would point out that contractors that did not exist were being paid, comments went ignored. So thank you for the time. Mr. Johnson also expressed that the agency is focused on policy. I find this curious. In the past 25 years of toll road resolutions, I have never seen where the TCA Board of Directors authorized or directed non-elected staff and employees to be policymakers or policy leaders. B, to the regularly participating in a legislative elected official capacity. California legislature has 2 branches, the State Assembly and the Senate. The legislature votes on state laws and drafts legislation. I was also curious at the last month's board meeting when the $35,000 payment to Orange County Business Council was being explained. Ms. Bailey said the TCA staff is on an Advocacy and Legislation Committee, and that is what part of this large sponsorship money goes towards. I have never heard the TCA staff at committee or board meeting about what staff-directed policy discussions have been held. Nope, never mentioned at a TCA board meeting. How would the public to be informed of what is discussed, what parties attended, and how the meeting progressed? Where did they meet? Who benefits? Where lobbyists present? Why are TCA staff and employees working on that level while not elected? Anyway, that was just a moment. Something here does not make sense to me. I have a huge ask for both the San Joaquin and Foothill boards. Please do not vote to oppose Senator Pat Bates' legislation. In March 2020, the TCA board unanimously voted to stop and adopt the no-build option, which effectively ends the 241 at Oso. For the following reasons, I ask that you be a considerate neighbor after 25 years of no. This is getting really old. Into public comment. Next public comment, number 15, received from Samuel Goldstein. I'll begin now. To the TCA board, please support the 2 Pat Bates bills tomorrow. Thank you, Sam Goldstein. Into public comment. Public comment number 16 from No Toll Road 2020. I will begin now. Wow, what about the TCA committee meetings about Senator Pat Bates' bill? Have you ever noticed that Tony Beal says absolutely nothing most board meetings? He only chimes in if a lucrative contract needs to be pushed through, and some directors are questioning why so much is being spent. For which project is it for? The only other time we hear from him is when it is proposed that the TCA stop setting its sights on putting a toll road where it was never meant to go. Then oddly, as an RSM council member, he gets all heated and starts being derogatory to other elected officials who are in a much higher elected capacity and are doing the right thing. You would think there was a gun to his children's head with his hate and hostility to San Clemente and all residents in South Orange County.
TCA meeting right now.
Mr. Beal's Form 700 show no assets or brokerage investments or real estate yet. He just bought a $2 million Oceanside McMansion in Cabo on the beach. We know Mr. Beal's law firm works in the tolling industry. Something does not make sense here. Is it his livelihood being threatened? Something is up. Why is a council member behaving so poorly and inserting his will in a city he does not even live in that will be impacted? You might hear our supervisor, Ms. Bartlett, say, oppose this or another city will be in harm's way. What? This is disingenuous or an irreparable harm to South Orange County for the past 6 years, has been proposed by the TCA. Meanwhile, Lisa Bartlett is more concerned with building a road with our tax dollars for a private developer at the irreparable harm to her constituents, neighborhoods, and communities. Toll roads weaving through existing neighborhoods, taking homes and businesses, and being on top of our kids' schools. Despite the TCA's own traffic study showed marginal mobility benefits and bonds could not be issued since the ridership is so low at the southern portion of the 241. The TCA has had 30 years to finish the small little remaining section past Oso, which has come at a great cost. 25 years of studying is likely enough. Do not allow future boards the same continued folly. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Please give OC taxpayers a break and help the TCA focus on paying down the bonds, which always seem to be growing in the wrong direction. This bill does not limit other agencies, nor is the board responsible for other agencies. You are only responsible for the choices you make today at the TCA. This again is another disingenuous, desperate argument. There is a precedent for Senator Bates' wonderful legislation with the 710 in Pasadena.
Time.
Into public comment. Public comment number 17 received from Laura Smith. I'll begin now. Good morning, board members and TCA staff. My name is Laura Smith, and I am once again writing about what looks like the TCA's deceptive and illegal segmentation of the 241 toll road. This shouldn't even have to be discussed any longer after the TCA announces March 12th last year that the TCA ends efforts to extend the 241 toll road. End means stop by but apparently the TCA doesn't know that. When the proposal to take Christianitos off the map and replace it with Los Patrones extension, which perfectly aligns with the 241, which is now connected to Los Patrones by Oso Bridge, which the TCA volunteered to pay for, I voiced my opposition. It was approved, and my city leaders in good faith in wanting to work with the county and OCTA in the name of mobility and to be part of the process agreed to the project of a free arterial road. At this last joint Finance and Investment Committee meeting in February, a member was commenting about Senator Pat Bates' bill, SB 760, and CEO Samuel Johnson said the 760 limits anyone's ability to extend the 241. Wait, so you're saying another agency might be able to extend the 241? Well, then number one, we don't need the TCA any longer, and number two, OCTA has deleted the 241 extension from the FTIP, according to Pablo Gutierrez. SB 760 will just codify this, and yes, Mr. Beal, also actions that you took last March. We need this to protect our fine cities, since you know you never said the road was going to terminate outside the boundaries of San Clemente. Actually, to the contrary, I see actions on the part of the TCA to show me that they be planning to extend the 241. Here in your agenda, in opposition to SB 760, the boards were concerned that the removal of SR 241 would impact future boards with their mobility solutions in future years. I'm sure that is referring to yet another illegal segment, just like they have their eye on these. Also very telling is Samuel's references to financing Los Patrones extension, just like the first part. When I emailed him about this, he emailed me back in part that I don't know if the county's proposed project mimics alternate 22, but I do assume it would provide the same regional transportation benefit. I don't know if Samuel really thinks that I'm that ignorant, but I do know that the TCA-JPA agreement is to plan, finance, construct, operate the OC public toll road system. Please support Pat Bates' bills and keep the TCA to their word. This way, they can use the money to pay down their existing, into public comment. Public comment number 18, received from Carolyn King. I'll begin now. Hi, I wanted to let you know that I support the senator's important bills. It is time that we stop thinking 1980s sprawl is going to provide mobility. It never will, since the development follows shortly thereafter. Sprawl is unpleasant to live in and not conducive to a healthy lifestyle. One wants to continue to after growing up in Orange County. Please do not make us downtown Los Angeles and keep the special places and wild places protected. Thank you to the board members who work to serve us and keep the quality of life and solutions in mind that don't take more than they provide for. The cost should justify the means, and in the inclusive toll road, it is just sprawl. Carolyn K. Into public comment. Public comment number 19, received from Parker Garland. I'll begin now. Dear TCA, I ask you to vote yes and support these bills. No one likes or wants more toll roads. Thank you. Into public comment. Public comment number 20, received from Lori King. I'll begin now. Thank you, Honorable Pat Bates, for these bills. I hope the TCA board is aware your dedication, time, and service to Orange County. Your accomplishments are numerous. You were on the original TCA board after it was formed and know exactly what the single purpose and function this agency was to complete. We appreciate that you have come to help South Orange County now that it seems the TCA has forgotten what they were here to do. I urge the board members to pass these bills and support them. Thank you, Lori. Into public comment. Public comment number 21, received from Leslie Beinloss. I'll begin now. I'm writing to urge you to support Pat Bates' bills that will soon be up for vote. Please do this in the interest of the general public. Thank you sincerely, Leslie Feinlos, end of public comment. Public comment number 22 received from Tony Nelson. I'll begin now. Please send letters in support of Senator Bates' 2 new bills supporting constituents' desires in South Orange County. Senator Bates has consistently listened to and been supportive of residents. She's an old-style Republican who understands that she represents the voters and not special interests. Many feel the Republican Party of Orange County has lost its way, representing PACs, developers, and real estate interests instead of the people they are sworn to and should be honored to represent, the ordinary men and women who simply want to preserve the quality of their lives. The party will continue to lose voters by the thousands until it gets back to a functional conservative principles and ethics. Please remember who you serve. I urge you to support Senator Bates' bills, if for no other reason than that they represent the will of the people. Instead of consistently trying to expand and grow beyond TCA's core mission, please focus on what the taxpayers of Orange County thought they were getting when your agencies were formed. It's high time to focus on reducing your enormous debt burdens and work to convert the toll roads to free roads for the people of California. Respectfully submitted, Tony Nelson, Dana Point, end of public comment. Public comment number 23 received from Christopher Duncan. I'll begin now. Dear TCA boards, please do the right thing and support Senator Pat Bates' 2 bills, SB 760 and 761, which merely formalize what the TCA has already agreed to do. If you oppose these bills, the only reasonable explanation is that you still want to run a toll road through San Clemente. If you really seek to end your toll road dispute with San Clemente once and for all, you will wholeheartedly support these bills. Chris Duncan, San Clemente, and a public comment. Public comment number 24 received from Lori Foster. I'll begin now. Good morning, chairs and TCA boards of directors. I ask you to support Pat Bates' 2 bills, 760 and 761. I'm sure you know the 241 extension has already been removed from the master plan of our arterial highways. I appreciate your support of these 2 bills and thank you for fiscally conservative leadership. Lori Foster, Orange County business owner, end of public comment. Public comment number 25 received from Denise Colbert. Good morning, San Joaquin and Foothill board members. Please send letter in support of Senator Pat Bates' 2 new bills supporting constituents' desires in South Orange County. Senator Bates has consistently listened to and been supportive of residents, and the voters trust her. She is an example that all of you want to follow, and maybe you will get the trust back from we the people. Please support Senator Bates' bills because they represent the will of the people. Thank you for your time. Please be a good neighbor. I don't believe member cities in the TCA agreement would have participated in it if they knew 30 years later what was going on. Thanks for your time. D. Marie C. End of public comment. Madam Chair, that's the end of public comment.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
Are we making?
It was sent to the clerk, right?
We have one more public comment we received this morning. It's from Rancho Mission Viejo, and it's a letter directed to Lisa Bartlett. Foothill Eastern Board Agenda Item number 10, State Legislative Watch List. Dear Director Bartlett, thank you for your ongoing leadership supporting the extension of Los Patrones Parkway and South County mobility generally. As we have discussed, Rancho Mission Viejo would be supportive of pursuing a local resolution of the issues affecting the stakeholders. Your idea of initiating the small stakeholder subcommittee is positive, and getting the parties together for discussion is always a good idea. From our observation, the ongoing conflict in South County is not conducive to effective transportation planning. If there is anything we can do to further support this effort, please let us know. Sincerely, Mike Balsamo, Senior Vice President, Government Relations. End of comments. And that does finalize our public comments.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Samuel, do you have any response?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just generally share for the board. I think you probably recognized in some of the public comments that staff's efforts to provide the public with proper information continues to be important. Comments regarding demographic studies, the board's actions from last March, and the board's clear and firm plans to pay off our debt. We need to continue to make sure the public is very aware of what the board is doing in those regards. And then lastly, I just refer the board to my email regarding my communications with Ms. Schumacher and the report she references where we had unfortunately referenced a prior name of a contractor that name was changed through a merger and acquisition. So we have provided all those corrected reports and copies of canceled check stubs to show that indeed those payments were made to the correct firms. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Directors, as noted in the CEO's email to all of you, I want to remind directors that both Chair Kelly and I will be relying on the raise hand function within the Zoom to call on directors wishing to speak. This system will show the order of the request so that your comment or question can be shared timely. So please utilize this feature to help us streamline our meeting. Directors calling in by phone can press *9 to raise your Zoom hand. In the event that the raise hand function is not working, directors may text the CEO and he will let me know you would like to speak. We will now move on to our agenda items, starting with San Joaquin Hills consent calendar items 1 through 3, 5 to 6. Are there any directors that wish to pull or discuss any item? I'm going to look for any hands raised. I don't see any hands raised. Is there a motion from San Joaquin Hills Board for the consent item?
This is Cynthia. I move the consent calendar.
Thank you. Moved by Director Connors. Do I have a
Kelly
second?
seconds. Trish Kelly seconds.
Second by Trish Kelly, our chair. All right. Please take roll.
Chair Kelly,
Yes.
Vice Chair Will O'Neill,
Yes.
Alternate Goebel,
Yes.
Director Connors,
Yes.
Director Hess,
Yes.
Director Hertz,
Yes.
Director James,
Aye.
Director Khan,
Yes.
Director Minigar,
Aye.
Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Reynolds,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Victoric,
Aye.
Director Wagner.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the item passes unanimously.
Okay.
Excuse me, you forgot Director Voigt?
This is San Joaquin
Oh,
Hills.
this is San Joaquin Hills Board.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. My apologies.
All right. No problem. You just got ahead of me because now we are at the consent item calendar for Foothill Eastern. Are there any directors who wish to pull an item? Director Murphy? Director Murphy, I see your hands up.
I said, sorry, no, I just am ready to make a motion should you need one.
I do. So a motion by Director Murphy to move the consent items. Do I have a second?
Second by Director Ward.
Second by Director Ward. Madam Clerk, please take roll.
Chair Wong,
Yes.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Alternate Goebel,
Yes.
Director Beal,
Aye.
Director Chafee,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Khan,
Yes.
Director Lombard,
Yes.
Director Murphy,
Aye.
Director Trevor O'Neill,
Aye.
Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Voigt,
Yes.
Director Wagner,
Aye.
Director Ward.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the item passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to our board business, for item 7 and H. On these items, I want to note that TCA staff and the board continue to be active and engaged in looking at ways to enhance our financial policies and best practices. In addition to staff, the Joint Finance and Investment Committee, led by Director Beal and Vice Chair Will O'Neill, did a great job in looking at areas for improvement that help clarify directions to staff and assure TCA remains on a strong fiscal path. We are in the strong financial position because of the great work such as this. Now, I believe that Mr. Martin has a single presentation for both items 7, 8, and H. We will discuss the items jointly, but then call for separate votes from each board. Mr. Martin?
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Darren Martin, Manager of Treasury Operations for TCA. These items relate to the annual review of the agency's investment policies. The item was presented to the Joint Finance and Investment Committee on February 24th, and the committee unanimously recommended approval by the Board of Directors. Next slide, please. Staff works with its investment advisor, Chandler Asset Management, to regularly review the investment policy. An annual review, although not a state requirement, is a recommended best practice by the California Debt and Investment Advisory Commission. Additionally, the agency's investment policies have an annual review component. And the objective is to ensure consistency between the investment policies, California Government Code, and the agency's goals. The investment policies govern the non-indentured funds of the agencies. Next slide, please. So there were a few changes made to California Government Code related to the investment of public funds, which was SB 998, which was passed by the California Assembly and Senate and approved by Governor Newsom. The three pieces of legislation that impacts the agency are as follows. First, it increases the maximum amount that can be invested in commercial paper from 25% to 40%. Secondly, it prohibits a local agency other than a county from investing more than 10% of its investment assets in commercial paper or medium-term notes of any single issuer. Lastly, it creates an exception by authorizing a local agency to invest in securities issued by or backed by the United States government that could result in a zero or negative interest accrual if held to maturity. Next, I will discuss in more detail the effects these three amendments have on the agency's investment policies. With respect to increasing the maximum amount that can be invested in commercial paper from 25% to 40%, a local agency must have more than $100 million of assets under management, and this amendment will stay in effect until January 2026, but may be extended in the future. So the current law allows the counties and cities of San Francisco and Los Angeles to invest up to 40% of their assets in commercial paper. This amendment reflects a more consistent and equitable public policy for entities with similarly sized investment portfolios. The $100 million or more of investment assets threshold is in alignment with the SEC's benchmark for a sophisticated institutional investor. And as of January 2021, the market values for the agencies were $774 million for San Joaquin and $714 million for Foothill Eastern, well above the $100 million threshold. Staff is recommending this change to the investment policies to incorporate the increased allocation, which will expand the investment opportunities for the agencies. Next slide, please. The second change within SB 998 is the 10% exposure limit. This bill prohibits a local agency other than a county from investing more than 10% of its total investment assets in the notes of a single issuer. The current 10% limit to an issuer's total outstanding commercial paper issuance for cities and special districts does not address the total amount invested in a single issuer. This change caps a local agency's total single issuer investment exposure in commercial paper and medium-term notes at 10% of its total investment portfolio, effectively reducing risk through diversification. Staff is not recommending any changes to the agency's investment policies related to this topic, as the agency's current investment policies address this topic and limits the combined exposure to no more than 5% of any single issuer of commercial paper and medium-term notes. The agency's existing policy is more conservative than the new law and has not hampered the agency's investment opportunities. Next slide, please. SB 998 also has a provision which authorizes local agencies to invest in securities issued by or backed by the United States government that could result in a zero or negative interest accrual if held to maturity. This amendment is set to expire January 1st, 2026, but may also be extended in the future. Existing law generally prohibits a local agency from investing in funds that could result in a zero interest accrual if held to maturity. This amendment accommodates the possibility of a negative yield environment if it should occur, like it has in other developed countries, which I will show you momentarily. But simply leaving the funds in a bank may also result in a zero or negative interest accrual because of additional fees and penalties applied to large deposits. Banks may also limit the size of deposits that can be held in an account in a negative yield environment because they would no longer be profitable. Next slide, please. As previously mentioned and depicted on this slide, you'll see there are a number of developed countries that currently have negative yields. The rationale behind this is to fight deflation by making it more costly to hold on to money and making it more appealing to borrow money, thus incentivizing spending to stimulate their economies. Next slide, please. Staff is recommending this change to the investment policies to incorporate the new legislation. We do not anticipate purchasing securities with zero or negative yields unless there is a material change in the economic outlook, financial markets, or Federal Reserve monetary policy. These securities would only be purchased in exigent circumstances and were all investment options available would result in zero or negative interest accruals. Next slide, please. The broker-dealer process. Staff worked with Chandler to perform an investment policy best practice review. And as a result, staff is proposing a change to the broker-dealer approval process. During the best practice review, we found the agencies are in alignment with the GFOA's recommendations aside from the broker-dealer approval process. With respect to evaluating broker-dealers, Chandler considers the following: regulatory requirements, financial strength, industry reputation and business practices, quality and breadth of their market coverage, security pricing and performance on trade execution, and informational data flow to assist with market analysis. Chandler also ensures a competitive security bidding process utilizing an extensive list of approximately 50 broker-dealers. Next slide, please. GFOA guidelines do not include recommendations for approval of the broker-dealer list by the governing body. Additionally, Chandler also reviewed investment policies of all member agencies and other agencies in Orange County and found no other organizations where the governing bodies approved the broker-dealer list. Chandler will continue to maintain a rigorous review process for selecting and maintaining a comprehensive list of broker-dealers. And staff will also continue to bring discussion of broker-dealers to the committee and the boards of directors in a proactive manner, as we did when Wells Fargo was fined and sanctioned for opening unauthorized deposit and credit card accounts. At that time, the agency suspended any new investments in Wells Fargo securities and from utilizing Wells Fargo as a broker-dealer. The agencies have a robust broker-dealer selection process and a diverse pool of broker-dealers. Therefore, staff is no longer including the broker-dealer list in the investment policies to promote efficiency in the investment program, align with the GFOA recommendations and investment policy best practices. Next slide, please. As an item of note, the Joint Finance and Investment Committee asked for additional discussion regarding diversity within the broker-dealers in Chandler Asset Management's broker-dealer list, and for additional information outlining where the agency's investment policies are more conservative than the California Government Code as a future action item. These items will be brought back to the Joint Finance and Investment Committee for discussion at a future meeting. Next slide, please. The three minor policy recommendations we discussed are included in the proposed revised investment policies and board resolutions we provided to you. The Joint Finance and Investment Committee unanimously recommended these items for approval by the boards of directors. As such, staff is requesting the boards of directors approval for San Joaquin Hills to adopt Resolution S 2021-01, approving the investment policy for the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency, and for the Foothill Eastern, adopt Resolution F 2021-01, improving the investment policy for the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. We will now go to Director Connors, who has her hand up first.
Thank you. I just had a question. How does the statute define commercial paper?
How does it define the statute of commercial paper?
No. When our investments are limited to 40% in commercial paper, what is the definition of commercial paper that we're using?
So it would increase from 25 to 40%, and commercial paper is an instrument that organizations issue that we would purchase. It's considered a money market instrument, which its maturity cannot exceed 270 days. So it's on the very short end of the investment curve.
Is it issued by government agencies or by private businesses?
We typically buy corporations with an A rating or P1 rating or better, which is the highest category. You're welcome.
I don't see any other hands raised on this item by either board members. So with that, I will move on to San Joaquin Hills Board for a motion to approve, to adopt the resolution S 2021-01 on the investment policy for the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency. Any directors with a motion to adopt?
This is Director Connors. I so move.
Director Connors. A second by Chair Kelly. Madam Clerk.
Chair Kelly,
Yes.
Vice Chair Will O'Neill,
Yes.
Alternate Goebel,
Yes.
Director Connors,
Yes.
Director Hess,
Yes.
Director Hurt,
Yes.
Director James, Director Khan,
Yes.
Aye.
Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Reynolds,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Vicsoric,
Aye.
Director Wagner.
Aye.
Looping back, Director James.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the item passes unanimously.
Thank you.Moving on to the Foothill Eastern Board, I am seeking a motion to adopt Resolution F 2021-01 to approving the investment policy for the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency.
Director
Director
Voigt, Lake
Chafee
Forest, would like
moves.
to move item.
Chafee
Okay, I have
seconds.
Director Voigt making the motion and seconded by Director Chafee. Madam Clerk, please take roll.
Chair Wong?
Yes.
Vice Chair Miller?
Aye.
Director Bartlett?
Yes.
Director Beal?
Aye.
Director Chafee?
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Khan,
Yes.
Director Lombard,
Aye.
Director Murphy,
Aye.
Director Trevor O'Neill,
Aye.
Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Voigt,
Yes, thank you.
Director Wagner,
Aye.
Director Ward.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 9, our communications update is a presentation item by Lori Owen, Director of Communications, to provide an informational update on staff's efforts to keep the public informed about our work here at TCA, and no action will be required. Lori?
Good morning, Madam Chair and honorable directors. My name is Lori Olin, and I serve all of you in TCA as Director of Communications. I'm here today to give you an update on recent communications activities. Next slide. Here you see the headlines of the press releases that we've issued during the last 4 weeks. 2 are about awards earned by our CEO, Samuel Johnson. We also issued a press release announcing the start of cattle grazing at TCA's Live Oak Plaza Conservation Area in Trabuco Canyon, and I'll talk more about that in a few slides. We issued a press release about the refunding of Foothill Eastern bonds, which decreased annual debt payments without extending bond maturity dates, resulting in a savings of more than $210 million. And we issued a press release about the election of our new board leadership. With the unanimous elections of Chairs Wong and Kelly, it's only the second time in TCA's 35-year history that both boards are led by women, making our chairs the highest ranking female elected officials in Orange County transportation. And of additional note, TCA's 2 boards of directors boast 8 mayors and 5 mayors pro tem. Next slide. On this slide, you see the top social media posts for the month of January. On Facebook, the most popular content was related to the Oso Parkway Bridge virtual grand opening, which took place in January. On Instagram, it was an interview with the Orange County Register with Samuel Johnson about what 2021 has in store for TCA and for Orange County transportation in general. And on Twitter, it was closure and detour information, which time and again proves to be what our followers on social media want most from us. So this isn't a big surprise that we have, just one of our standard closure alerts here as our top post for January on Twitter. Next slide. On this slide, you see the top posts for the month of February. On Facebook, the most popular content was about paying a toll without an account. On Twitter, it was CEO Samuel Johnson's Transportation Trailblazer Award. And on Instagram there, it was Orange County Register's coverage of our cattle grazing. I promise there are more cows to come. Next slide. So here you see recent media coverage. The topics covered were the bond refunding, TCA's projects in general, and then specifically the Oso Parkway Bridge project. And there you see the media outlets that covered TCA and some other newsletter articles that covered our news for the month. Next slide. Okay, we're getting to the cows. So on this slide, you see some of the work that the communications team has done in support of the cattle grazing at Live Oak Canyon. The cattle began grazing on February 16th, with all communications work being done entirely in-house by our talented staff. Members of the team attended the cattle release and tackled the tough terrain and the ticks to capture photos, videos, and drone footage. We issued a press release about the grazing. We created a public Flickr album where we could store those photos that we've taken and that we continue to take for the public to see. And we also have an editorial calendar that's full of high-performing social media posts about the cows. We also pitched the cattle grazing story to the media. And next slide. Here you see some results of that pitching. We returned to the site with a photographer from the Orange County Register who also braved the terrain to capture photos for a slideshow that accompanied a front page story for the paper's local section. It's the second time, I can show you it right here. It's the second time this year that a TCA story has made the front page of the Register. so that's good. And we also earned some great coverage by Spectrum News. So those are the screenshots that you're seeing to the right of your page. They produced a segment about grazing and did live shots from the site for their morning show over the course of 4 hours. So let staff know if you need us to resend the link to that video, and we'll be happy to do so. Speaking of videos, staff has created a video about the cattle grazing, which we are premiering here today. Next slide. And because the video will be playing via Zoom in a live stream, the video and audio quality may not be the best, but staff will send you a link to the video later today. And I hope you'll watch the video again using the link to see it in full high quality, because the cows look particularly great in high def. So now, without further ado, here is our cattle grazing video.
Today, we're at Live Oak Conservation Plaza. This site was purchased by the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency in 2005. It's one of the 17 different sites owned by the agencies, totaling over 2,000 acres of open space. Transportation Corridor Agencies is known for its environmental stewardship. We balance the construction of our facilities, of our roadways, with the environmental conservation. We make sure that we give back to the environment elsewhere. The cattle that we have behind me, we're using those for conservation grazing here at Live Oak. And this is where we're using cattle to get rid of the non-native vegetation on this site. And so we use the cattle to graze that so we can allow the native vegetation, which supports the native wildlife that we have in this area, to find room to grow.
We assess the existing vegetation management methods that we use here at Live Oak, which typically involves fuel management each spring in order to reduce the fire hazard per county requirements. But there is also a desire to improve the quality of the habitat here at Live Oak. And so we assessed different grazing options. Cattle became an appropriate livestock to use on the land because it both achieved the goals of reducing fire hazard, but also enhancing the habitat value of the existing habitat here at Live Oak.
The benefits of using cattle is that they are selective browsers. Cows, they eat certain things and leave certain things in part. Plus also their weight also has an added benefit to the soils.
The hooves on the cows are specifically important because they punch holes in the ground. They hit the ground, it compacts the soil on either side, aerates a portion in the middle. That little thing fills up with rainwater, and that's where your new seedlings grow.
We've learned that grazing is actually a useful tool to bring back to the land in a very science-based, managed and monitored way in order to heal it.
We've got 3 virtual fences. When they approach the virtual fence line, the collar makes a sound. If they go past the sound, they get shocked. If they go through the shock, it shuts off. If they walk back in, it doesn't shock them at all. I can turn my computer on, hit Google Earth, so you can see where every cow you've got is 24/7.
So we'll see how things work here. And like any science experiment, you can replicate it elsewhere.
The partnership we have with TCA is the first pilot program in Orange County for any kind of an agency to holistically plan grazed ground.
Initially, this is a 3-year pilot grazing program. And at the end of that 3 years, we'll assess whether conservation grazing should continue or another management method is appropriate to meet the habitat enhancement goals for the property.
The Transportation Corridor Agencies has 17 different sites across the county, but this is the only site where we're starting this program.
And now that cattle grazing has begun, as part of the conservation grazing plan that we wrote, we're going to be doing ongoing monitoring and providing management recommendations on how to adjust the grazing programs as we go forward to meet the goals, which are to enhance the habitat, to reduce the fire hazard, and to basically have a sustainable management method here on Live Oak Plaza.
All right. Thank you, Wendy and Hillary. So thank you all for viewing that. Again, that was the premiere. We're going to be posting it to social media and sharing it throughout the day, and we will be sure to get a link to all of you. I also have more good news to announce here today. The Oso Parkway Bridge has been selected as the recipient of the 2020 Outstanding Bridge Project Award by the American Society of Civil Engineers through their Orange County chapter. So my team is working to spread the good news about that. And once again, we will be celebrating our new award-winning bridge. Next slide. Here's what's coming up for the communications team. We have some other awards that we'll be announcing over the coming weeks and months. We're also going to be focusing on an educational campaign about speed awareness. So reminding people that speed limits are there for a reason, and we really hope that they follow them for the safety of themselves and the safety of others, and an ongoing a new partnership that we will have with CHP. We're also working on some content for Women's History Month that we're putting together. We continue with the COVID communications plan as long as the COVID pandemic persists. We will be supporting it with our COVID communications plan. And then we're going to be talking about our environmental programs. So that includes grazing, which the next grazing will happen in April, but it'll be our grazing, and it will be also about all of our environmental programs and our environmental sites starting around Earth Day. And that content does really well in the spring typically. So we'll be talking about that. So that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
I don't see any hands raised. Thank you, Lori. I suspect we will see more cows to come in future years, but I'm really excited about such management program just because it's nature taking care of itself. And so I'm glad we're in this partnership to take care of the lands that we are entrusted to protect. So thank you all. Next is item 10. First, I would like to call on Director Heft, Chair of the External Affairs Committee, to introduce our next agenda item, which includes the state legislative watch list. Then we will have a brief report by Barbie Daly, Director of Legislative Affairs. After the presentation, we will have a joint discussion regarding the committee's recommendation, which I am hoping we can all keep focused and brief. So please manage your time as a courtesy to all directors so that everyone will have an opportunity to participate fully, bearing in mind we do have a closed session today after the board's meeting. Please remember to use the raise hand function to let me know you would like the floor after the discussion. And I will be making a motion at the end to an element of the committee's recommendation, which I hope will be seconded. And I will then call for separate roll call votes with the board, with Foothill voting first. So Director Heft, please give your report.
All right, thank you so much, Chair Wong. Good morning, everyone. As chair of the Joint External Affairs Committee, I've been asked to introduce this next item on the board agenda, which is the state legislative watch list. We discussed this at length during the February 25th Joint External Affairs Committee meeting. And as part of that report, there are 3 bills that staff will be presenting today in which the committee has made recommendations for the board's consideration. One of the bills, SB 623, relates to privacy issues and is a streamlined version of a bill that both boards supported last session. So the committee is recommending a support position once again. The other 2 bills, SB 760 and SB 761, are versions which are similar to a bill introduced by Senator Pat Bates on the last day for bill introductions during the 2019-2020 legislative session. It was SB 1373. For those of you who were on the boards last year, you may recall that both boards took an opposed position on SB 1373. SB 760 and SB 761 have many similarities to that bill and were both introduced by Senator Bates on the last day for bill introductions again in this session. Following staff's presentation at the committee meeting last month, there was quite a bit of discussion about the merits of both bills. Ultimately, the committee concluded that SB 760 and SB 761 do not serve in the best interests of regional mobility and represent unnecessary legislative interference in a local process, thus voting unanimously to recommend an opposed position on both of these bills. With that, I will turn it over to our Director of Legislative Affairs, Barbie Daly, who will be presenting this item along with Ben Rubin and Nate Soloff of Nossaman for board consideration and discussion. Ms. Daly.
Good morning, Chair Wong and board members. The item before you is the 2021 State Legislative Watch List. Since TCA's inception, the agencies have had an active state legislative program to stay informed on issues of importance to TCA and to have the ability to be nimble should an issue need to be addressed quickly. The 2021-22 state legislative platform that the boards approved in December provides the basis for our legislative program and serves as the policy guidelines for TCA staff and legislative advocates. The platform also identifies areas of interest and issues that may be pursued during the legislative session and may require board engagement. Next slide, please. At the beginning of each year, and next slide, please, actually. At the beginning of each year, members of the legislature introduce new bills. The deadline for bill introductions was February 19th, and more than 2,300 bills were introduced. Since then, our legislative advocates have been poring over the bills to identify those which may require monitoring and possibly board action. As of today, 19 bills have been identified to be part of TCA's 2021 legislative watch list. Over the next several weeks, the number could increase as spot bills start to take shape. Next slide, please. This item was presented to the Joint External Affairs Committee at their February 25th meeting. After much discussion, the committee directed staff to bring the boards the recommendations you see here on this slide. I'd now like to turn this over to Ben Rubin of Nossaman, who will provide an analysis of the bills we have identified in this report, followed by Nate Soloff of Nossaman. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Barbie. Good morning, chairs and members of the board. As noted by Ms. Daly, I'm going to be discussing the 4 bills that were referenced on the prior slide, discussing them all, and then Nate will go through and provide his additional comment as far as what happened in the Joint External Affairs Committee. My presentation will go through the bills and explain any similarities and differences to bills from last year, if any, and if applicable, how the bills potentially relate to efforts by Caltrans, TCA, and OCTA, and others to improve mobility. So first we have up is AB 339. This bill essentially introduces new requirements related to public meetings with respect to local public agencies like the TCA. What this bill is intended to do is increase access to the public meetings by placing additional unfunded mandates on the agencies. So I have some examples on this slide, but I'll just verbally, for example, the bill requires public agencies to provide both a call-in and internet-based option for attending meetings remotely and providing public comment. And that's true even if the meetings are generally open to in-person public attendance, so non-COVID times. Requires an agency to provide closed captioning. Requires an agency to provide a designated location for in-person public comment, even when in-person meetings are actually prohibited under declared state of emergency. It also requires translations of agendas and instructions into various languages based upon the population statistics for that particular agency, and translation services during the meeting when the jurisdiction includes what's called a substantial number of non-English speaking people. Next slide, please. So the next bill I'm going to discuss is SB 623. This is essentially a streamlined version of SB 664 from last year, which the boards voted to support. The bills, what this bill does is it addresses an issue that's important to all toll agencies in the state because it enhances privacy protection for customers while clarifying that toll agencies can use information to operate as well as to pursue toll violators and to facilitate interstate interoperability. It also allows us to send alerts when there are emergency events, for example, like the recent California wildfires. Senator Josh Newman introduced the bill. and he's enlisted support from Senators Cortese and Dodd and Assemblymember Mullen. Next slide, please. Next bill is SB 760. This is very similar to the May 2020 version of SB 1373 from last year, which both boards did vote to oppose. As a practical matter, what this bill does is it prohibits OCTA, TCA, and Caltrans from looking at potential mobility solutions in the future to address regional traffic issues. In June of last year, the boards expressed the following concerns with 1373, that the legislation was unnecessary, that it creates controversy and division between local agencies, and that it sets bad state transportation policy. Some additional concerns include it's inconsistent with the state's new housing goals, and nothing in the bill directly addresses the current DIF litigation or the additional threatened DIF litigation by the city. And next slide, please. The final bill I'll be talking about, SB 761. This is actually another version of SB 1373 from last year as well. And the board voted on this version as well to oppose. What this version does is that it prohibits Caltrans, TCA, and OCTA from constructing, funding, or operating any new major thoroughfares in designated areas within the city of San Clemente. It does not impact the county or the city. And unlike the 1373 version from last year, this version of 761 does provide an exemption for State Route 5, lands immediately adjacent to State Route 5 and the extension of Los Patronos. This same car road actually doesn't exist in 760, which is just something to note. For last year, when the boards addressed the same language for SB 1373, the concerns were that the legislation was unnecessary and that it created additional controversy and division. With respect to Los Patronos, there was also a concern related to that. That was somewhat addressed by the carve out that was provided for Los Patronos. However, some additional concerns are that it potentially allows the city to circumvent regional participation in transportation. It seems to allow the city and perhaps private parties to move the goalposts by designating areas either as conservation or open space. So those could stop road projects, again, whether it's a city or whether it's a private property owner. This language would appear to allow that. And while the intent of the bill it's not clear that the author of the bill was thinking about exactly the litigation. It also does nothing to resolve the ongoing litigation between the city and the agency or that DIF issue as well. So those are my sort of overview analysis, and I'm now going to hand it over to Nate so he can provide some additional commentaries from the Joint External Affairs Committee.
Good morning, chairs and board members. Just following up on Mr. Rubin's comments, I'll start with going back to Assembly Bill 339. If we want to switch slides to the overview, thank you. This is one of several bills dealing with requirements on local public agencies. The External Affairs Committee recommended a watch position. The bill would introduce additional requirements to public agencies for conducting public meetings. These requirements could introduce additional costs and complexities in the transportation corridor agencies and member agencies' ability to conduct board and committee meetings. We will continue to monitor this and other similar bills and report back on positions other public agencies take on this and other measures. On Senate Bill 623, the External Affairs Committee recommended a support and co-sponsor position. Over the last 2 years, we've been working collaboratively with the California Toll Operators Committee on state legislation to clarify toll agency operations, since lawsuits against every toll agency in the state are threatening our ability to function. Fear of litigation has impacted our ability to send road closure alerts and emergency alerts to our account holders. During Ms. Olin's communications presentation to the board, she discussed that the top Twitter post for January was about road closures and detours. Our account holders want and expect this information to help them make informed decisions. It's critical that SB 623 passes so that TCA can provide all of our account holders with road closure and emergency alert information and not just rely on social media. The bill also is important because it will clarify our ability to perform interoperability amongst toll agencies so we can continue to share limited information for proper billing and allow us to continue to share information with state agencies so we can properly notify customers about toll violations. For 760 and 761, after much discussion, the External Affairs Committee recommended an opposed position on both bills. The language in both 760 and 61 reflect a departure from collaboratively working on regional mobility solutions. The bills have the potential to forever limit regional transportation solutions for public agencies, including Caltrans, TCA, and OCTA. If passed, the bills would prevent all state and regional transportation agencies from exploring mobility solutions in the region. The bills were introduced on the last day for legislative measures to be introduced, February 19th, and no one at TCA was contacted ahead of time from the proponents about the bills. The board's timing is critical since hearings are starting this week in Sacramento and committees need position letters at least a week prior to the hearing. Another reason why board action is necessary immediately is because the Senate waived its 30-day rule, meaning bills can be heard now instead of in the past where a month had to pass before action could be taken. The city of San Clemente held the same view in taking urgent action to agendize and adopt their positions on both of these bills in recent weeks. Board unification on these bills is important for staff and your advocacy team's ability to be effective in our efforts since both bills relate to overall transportation policy. The TCA boards took a unified opposed position last year on an almost identical bill, SB 1373. The unified opposed position from both boards, Foothill and San Joaquin, allowed the lobbying team to effectively advocate your position and clearly inform assembly members and senators and staff about the negative impacts the bills would have. As Mr. Rubin noted, the bills are nearly the same as last year when the boards expressed concerns over the disregard for the successful outcome of the study and the lack of necessity of the bill. Continued and increased litigation from one of the member agencies, the abandoning of this agency's member cities and counties' ability to work together, and the unnecessary limits it would place on agencies like OCTA and Caltrans well beyond the study's horizon year. As the current bills do not mitigate these concerns, the boards may arrive at the same position. An important point that we were able to make during last year's bill debate was that for decades, TCA's board of 23 elected officials representing 18 cities and 3 Orange County supervisorial districts have successfully worked together to deliver billions of dollars in transportation improvements for the region. The board has always stayed unified when taking positions on legislation impacting regional mobility solutions, especially on bills that would depart from the agency's regional approach to solving local problems. A unified position shows that we're working in a self-sufficient manner to solve local problems. On February 25th, the External Affairs Committee voted unanimously to take an opposed position on both bills. Board members conveyed that Sacramento decision makers should trust locally elected officials to continue to resolve regional transportation solutions and avoid policy proposals that override the interests of neighboring cities threatening regional participation. Thank you. That concludes my summary.
Thank you. I see hands raised and I will start.
I'm sorry, I was on mute, Director Wong. I just wanted to go to the next slide with the board recommendation and provide to you, as was mentioned earlier, the Joint External Affairs Committee met on the 25th of February and made the following recommendations that you have before you on the slide, which is to receive and file the 2021 State Legislative Watch List, to adopt a support position on SB 623 with agreement to co-sponsor the bill, to adopt an opposed position on SB 760 Bates, and adopt an opposed position on SB 761 Bates. And with that, I will conclude the report and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Barbie. Sorry, I jumped the gun on you. We'll first start with Director Wagner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no problems with the report as presented, although I wanted to add, you've got a monitor position on AB 339, which is dealing with the Brown Act and onerous additional requirements that do nothing to further actual public participation. And I would add, there's also a Senate bill by Wykowski, I believe it's SB 274, that does much the same thing and has many of the same problems. So I would propose adding SB 274 to this list. And I know several other local agencies of which I am privileged to sit on the board. Just yesterday, LAFCO moved their watch and monitor to an actual oppose or oppose unless amended to those two bills. That might get us a seat at the table, might get us an opportunity to explain how these bills are in fact onerous and don't promote transparency. So I would propose adding 274 and moving the monitor to oppose on both. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Director Bartlett or Supervisor Bartlett.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So a couple of things. So relative to SB 760 and 761, where are these bills currently in the process, Barbie?
Thank you, Director Bartlett. Yes, those bills, SB 761 will be going before the Senate Natural Resources Committee. I believe that date has yet to be determined. It'll then go to the Senate Transportation Committee, and we have heard that that is likely to be on April 27th. SB 760 also will be going to the Senate Transportation Committee, likely on April 27th, so that they will take those bills together. But first, we need to get through the Senate Natural Resources Committee, which could happen very quickly, given that the 30-day rule for bills to be in print before they're heard has been lifted. Right. And Nate, if you have any further details on that since yesterday, if you could let us know.
Yeah, I would just add that, things are changing rapidly in Sacramento since they're trying to get through business as quickly as possible. So really committees could happen, as soon as possible. That they started this week. And so I think that that's another reason why taking action is so critical at this point.
Okay, and if you can just double check, because I think we checked the other day and 760 was sent to the Transportation Committee with no set hearing date. And then 761, I believe, was sent to Governance and Finance Committee and then rescinded back to the Rules Committee with no hearing date set. So can you verify that maybe while we're in discussion and get the actual current status of those two bills?
Yeah, so just to provide clarity there, 760 is going solely to the Senate Transportation Committee. 761 was originally triple referred to Governance and Finance, Natural Resources, and Transportation. They've since limited that to a double referral, so now it's just Natural Resources and Transportation. So all the referrals are finalized, and so the bills are in possession of those committees, and so that therefore hearings could happen as soon as possible.
Okay, because we thought it went back to the Rules Committee. If you can just verify status, that'd be great. So a couple of things relative to where we are and looking at these pieces of legislation and with the litigation with one of our member cities, which is very unfortunate. I had a really good meeting with Director Ward and Director James and the interim city manager last week for a couple of hours and kind of talking through things. But when you take a look at where we are right now, as an agency, we are spending a lot of time, effort, and money, and nothing is really getting achieved. We need to do some things that are going to get us some forward progress at this point. So one thing that I want to mention is that recently we finished the 4/10 of a mile on the Oso Bridge project. So from Oso Bridge to the landing area is about 4/10 of a mile. And as part of the agreement, the county could have transferred that property to Caltrans. But in order to effect that transfer, a couple of things, we'd have to widen it by 60 feet to work through Caltrans standards, which is very expensive for the county. So it actually saves us money by not doing that. And it's It would also adversely impact the trail system in Rancho Mission Viejo. So when looking at all the different options, I worked with the county staff and we worked through the numbers, and it actually saves the county a lot of money by just keeping it within our county system. But I think equally as important on this measure is that the project really reinforces that from Oso Bridge then to La Plata, this is going to remain as a county arterial. So it really emphasizes that point that it's a county arterial, not built to Caltrans standards. It's a non-tolled arterial. And I think that should give everyone, to the greatest extent possible, that level of comfort. What I think we want to do at this point is take a look at where we are. And I've got a couple of suggestions that I want to throw out there. We've always advocated for local control and local solutions. And with this 2 pieces of pending legislation, we don't have that. We don't necessarily need to be legislated by Sacramento. We can resolve things on our own at the local level. We've got great local elected officials. We've got the county and other stakeholders, OCTA, the ranch, Caltrans, and everybody that can work together to resolve things at the local level. And that's really where we should have our focus. So to the extent that we can take a pause on the legislation at this point, as opposed to just an opposed position, or maybe vote and put a pause on it, that in the event for 30 days we can't get to a resolution on everything, then we would take a position on the 2 bills. But I think we want to look at local solutions, and I would like to suggest that we have our chairs set up a small working group with a small set of stakeholders for the next 30 days to try to focus on getting things actually resolved. We talk about resolutions. We don't want, to move forward on the legislation, which I completely understand. But at the same time, we've got to have assurances for the member cities that are on the corridor, including San Clemente and all of the other member cities as well. So we need something that is definitive, and we don't need long-term legislation. We don't need long-term litigation and spending more money. We need local solutions. So I would like to recommend that the 2 chairs put together a small working group, work over the next 30 days to work on in earnest, an effective legislative, not legislative, but an effective local solution that we can actually move forward on, that would address the issues and get rid of the legislation if we have local solutions. And it could be, we've got letters of support that could come in from the county, from OCTA, perhaps TCA with a resolution, and other stakeholders, Rancho Mission Viejo, that would state something to the effect in writing that for the foreseeable future, the solutions for South Orange County for transportation infrastructure truly look at and include the I-5 widening or extension of the carpool lane from Pico to the county line, the Ortega widening project, and the Los Patrones Parkway extension. And really, when you take a look at those 3 projects, those are the only 3 major infrastructure projects that we need for the long term. We don't really need anything else but some minor arterial improvements and light synchronization. And there's no funding for anything else anyway. But when you take a look at those 3 projects that can get funded, can get built out, those are really our great long-term solutions for transportation infrastructure in South Orange County. And I think we need to focus on solutions as opposed to legislation and litigation and other things that aren't going to get us anywhere. So I want to throw that out there, and I would love to get some input from my other colleagues, directors on both of the boards, because we need some forward momentum. We need to get to solutions. And right now, frankly, everybody is just spinning their wheels and we're not getting anywhere. So, and people who know me know I'm very focused on local solutions, local support, and let us deal with this at the local level and be able to get things moving forward. So I want to throw that out there and would love to get input from my fellow colleagues on the boards. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bartlett. Director Hess.
All right, thank you, Chair Wong. I just wanted to go back to what my colleague, Director Wagner said. and that is regarding AB 339. I would definitely be one to second SB 274 being added to that watch list. And I would say we watch it very, very closely because it has a lot of, as he mentioned, onerous implications. If it would pass, cities and agencies would be footing the bill for this. And if my colleagues remember, what was it last year when Zoom started up and all the meetings were going on Zoom, the city of Laguna Beach had an invasive and not very nice surprise when somebody played porn right during the meeting. And these type of things are things I'd be very concerned about when we start to open up the floodgates on this. So I would put that comment out there. And I think it's really important to know what they're discussing in Sacramento and making sure that they're taking into account all of these things and not just trying to, kind of a blanket solution. And in terms of what Supervisor Bartlett said, I think it's important, I'm kind of the Rodney King philosophy. Can't we all get along? Can't we find something, that'll make this work? And I think it's important to listen to all viewpoints, but at the same time, we have to take into account everything that's happening. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Beal?
Yes, thank you very much. With respect to Senate Bill 760 and 761, the Joint External Affairs Committee voted unanimously to oppose these right now. Why? For a number of reasons. Number one, they're unnecessary. I think it's important, especially given all of the public comments that we heard earlier. There seems to be a lot of misinformation floating around. After years of analysis, the TCA voted in good faith to support further study of Alternative 22, the Los Patronos Parkway alternative. We didn't decide to build a toll road through San Clemente. We also acknowledged at that same time that based on all the analysis and feedback and technological studies that had been completed over a period of years, at this time, we see no need for any future road construction through the city of San Clemente. Today, nothing has changed. The TCA is not planning or plotting any future road construction through the city of San Clemente. And I think it's disappointing that some in the city of San Clemente, including elected officials, continue to spread that type of misinformation. It's also important to remember that when the TCA approved studying Alternative 22, we made it clear, nobody has a perfect crystal ball that can see into the future and tell us what future traffic problems may exist then that are unexpected and unknown today. And we expressly left decision-making as to future problems to future boards on all of the local agencies in the region to address, study, and come up with solutions. So that's by way of background. The legislation that we have before us today is based upon a false narrative that continues to be repeated by the senator and by some supporting the legislation, trying to say that all it does is codify the action that the TCA took when we approved Alternative 22. That's simply not true, as I just explained. Future mobility needs, problems, all those decisions would be determined by future board members of all interested regional agencies, including the TCA, in the future, if necessary. I think this legislation is divisive. It creates controversy, distrust, and division where none is warranted. It's clearly special interest legislation drafted by and for one city at the expense of all of the other cities and agencies in the region, which is virtually unprecedented, because it would effectively carve out one city from participating in helping to resolve future regional traffic and mobility needs. And I think that's just bad transportation policy. It's definitely adverse to the interest of the TCA. It's adverse to my city, and I think most of the cities in this region. It just damages the ability to address regional transportation needs. So these are local issues, as Director Bartlett mentioned earlier. These are local, regional issues, and local transportation needs are best dealt with by local representatives. We need to have people who know the places, the issues, the traffic flow, the traffic patterns, the needs and desires, making the decisions to resolve problems, not people, state legislators up in Sacramento, many of whom have never set foot in the area. That just makes no sense. So we opposed some very similar legislation last year, and I believe we should do so once again. And while I support Supervisor and Director Bartlett's desire to have local discussions with all the interested stakeholders, I'm always for that type of talking, but I cannot stress enough. We must immediately at TCA take a position of opposition on these bills, or else we will have no voice in Sacramento right now. And these could come up for committee hearings at any time. They're not being put on pause. So we should not put on pause our position. No matter what good or bad result might come from the local discussions that Director Bartlett was suggesting, nothing is going to change the fact that these two pieces of legislation are bad transportation policy that takes away local control. We're never going to be supportive of that. It's just bad policy. So I urge all of my fellow directors to immediately and unconditionally and aggressively take a position in opposition to 760 and 761. Thanks.
Thank you, Director Beal. Director Ward?
Thank you. Did you say Ward?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, I'm happy to hear Supervisor Bartlett make those comments. If that is a motion, I would second that. I will tell the board and agree that we had a very good discussion, Mayor Pro Tem James and I with Supervisor Bartlett. San Clemente has always been for a solution to this, and we've tried many times to try to bring about a solution. I'm a little concerned with some of the things that were said in the External Affairs Committee, because our city is not attempting to carve itself out of regional transportation. In fact, we've actively been participating in that transportation. La Plata was successfully built. San Clemente assessed several of our developments for that road. I think we paid over $8 million to that road, and then another 800,000 or 900,000 to help pay for completion. We also opened one of our arterials through a neighborhood to connect to La Plata. It was on the MPA. We honored that agreement and we opened that. We've also supported the extension of Los Patrones Parkway. As Supervisor Bartlett said, the three major projects for South County, and I think we all know that, is widening Ortega at the choke point, extending Los Patrones Parkway, and an HOV extension from Pico to the Orange County San Diego line. Our city is supporting all of those. So we aren't trying to carve ourselves out by any means. it is important to note, I keep hearing from, I think Mr. Zoloff, that we must immediately do this. I don't think we do. I think what we heard last year from Senator Bates to the Senate floor is that she is committed to all of us working this out. And I believe the dates we heard are the end of April. And I would certainly make a call to Senator Bates to notify her and her staff that we are going to try to do a committee, and we should work on this as soon as possible. I don't think we need 30 days. I appreciate the supervisor giving us 30 days to do that. If we can, that would be great. But I think, this is still early March. I think we have plenty of time where the board could take action. So I would ask for support of that. We will certainly work very hard in this committee to solve all of these issues and put this to rest. This is an opportunity that we have to move forward and put this behind us. So that will be all my comments for now. I might want to speak again, but I think we should take a pause on this and allow us to meet and see if we can come up with a solution. I think it's a great idea, and now is the time to do it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to try to speed this up, so try to be succinct with your comments so we can finish. So, Director Connors.
Thank you. I agree wholeheartedly with Director Bates. I think it's important that we take a policy position now, but I also think, and maybe I'm mistaken as to process, but I think that we can oppose this legislation for all the reasons he gave, and still, while the legislation is proceeding as it does, work with the other interested parties to seek a solution. I met with Senator Bates last fall, and she said she was going to reintroduce her bill. But what she told me was that her main interest was simply to protect certain environmental preserves in the city of San Clemente. And it struck me, and we discussed with her, that I thought she was using a hatchet to resolve an issue that might be dealt with by a scalpel, as if a developer was going to build a beachfront hotel in San Clemente and then ran into local opposition and decided not to do it. And then suddenly the government planned to bar him from building anything anywhere in the South County. And it may be possible for Senator Bates to tailor her legislation to something protecting a certain portion of environmental preserve without stripping the TCA of its ability to do anything, or without unduly interfering with regional transportation planning. So I'm in favor of both things, but I think it's important to make our position known now and have our leverage that way.
Thank you. And Director Connors, I think you meant that you were in support of Director Beal's comment and not Director Bates' comment. With that, I will call on Director Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. These two bills, 760 and 761, as were proposed last year, put San Juan Capistrano as the neighbor in a very vulnerable position. Our community has put more effort and money into preserving open space than any city in South Orange County. We protected our ridge lines. We don't build on our ridge lines. We twice taxed our community, our homeowners, $30 million at each time to protect our open space. And by singling out San Clemente as the only protected city to not have to take regional responsibilities in the future or whatever happens, really puts us in a bad position. I would never vote to support a freeway down the center of San Clemente. So in saying that, I would be happy to meet with Supervisor Bartlett's plan. At this point, I would suggest we do take an opposed position on those items. And I would gladly try to work with the city of San Clemente and their electeds to try to get us to a position where we can all agree that the toll road is done where it is and at Oso, and that we can continue on with the regional plans that that Director Ward had mentioned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Director Miller?
Thank you. So we've been going round and round about this for years now. I mean, the green alignment came up, that was defeated. This came up, and what people are missing, I think Director Beal brought this up earlier, is that this board has done their due diligence. And every time we understand that this creates anxiety, every time we start talking about expanding the 241 near San Clemente, but this board has always come to the right decision on this. The first alignment didn't work. Los Patrones is the right solution for us now. But I think what's really happening here is there's so much angst in the city of San Clemente that this could come back. And they don't trust TCA. That's what I'm hearing, that they don't trust anything we said, even though we said very loudly and very publicly that the Los Patrones, in March of 2020, that the Los Patrones extension was our connection to the 5, and we were not studying any other solutions any further into South County. I think what Director Bartlett is proposing is a good solution. But I think this could be handled fairly simply. What we don't want is state legislation being run in case there is a need in the future for Caltrans or OCTA to take a look at something. I mean, the way the legislation is written now, it looks like you couldn't even use gas tax money to finance a project, even a county project down through South County. What I think I heard Director Bartlett say this as well, it could be as simple, and I'm going to ask Mr. Joseph about this, as we could pass a resolution as an agency stating that we have completed our study of the 241 South. Los Patrones is our solution into the foreseeable future. And Mr. Joseph, what's it take to overturn a resolution? Is it a simple majority vote? Is it a 2/3 vote? How does that work?
Well, if such a resolution were to be passed, it would take a different resolution, in essence, change direction at a later time.
Right, right. So, but would that other resolution just need a simple majority vote or a 2/3 vote?
Yes, no, simple majority.
So I think we could work out a deal where, what we don't want to have happen is the state to come in and tie our hands and have to make a change at a state level, where if we come in as an agency and we make that statement very public, that we are done and here's our resolution stating that, it doesn't bind any future boards if the need arises, and more importantly, it doesn't bind any other agency. So we could even put in there that the next resolution to overturn this would take a 2/3 vote or whatever it comes out to be. We can work those details out. But in return for that, we would need something from San Clemente in terms of asking Senator Bates to withdraw her legislation. And that really is allowing the local governments to work this problem out locally and to make sure that we do have options going into the future. But it's a recommendation. I think that's a good way to at least start to approach this problem. It does tie the board's hands to a certain extent, but it doesn't tie them all the way tightly where they can't make a change. So those are really my concerns, is that this thing hasn't been handled well by any parties involved in it. And I think it's time that we just get to the table, work out, see what each party really needs to make sure that the state doesn't get into Orange County's business any more than it needs to be. Those are my comments.
Right. Thank you. Director Kelly? Chair Kelly?
Yes, thank you. Well, first of all, I'd like to salute Supervisor Bartlett for her work and for trying to come up with a solution to this issue. And I think it's fine to form a working group, but I don't think we can afford to pause our opposition position at this point. I think, as we've heard, this could come up very quickly. And we know, for instance, that San Clemente has already submitted their letters. They've posted them on social media. And I think it's really important that we do take this opposed position. Supervisor Bartlett noted the importance of local control. And we really would have no assurance that Senator Bates would withdraw her bill anyway, even if San Clemente asked her to. So I think it's important that we do take that position right now. We've heard from the analyses that these two bills are bad, not just for TCA, but they're bad for transportation overall and for regional mobility, and truly does take away local control and brings the state into our business. So I affirm the recommended action in voting to take an opposed position on these two bills, but I do respect Supervisor Bartlett and her efforts. I think we can work with that working group concurrently, as can get started right away if we wish. But I don't think there's a need to pause right now on the opposed position. That concludes my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have both Director Bartlett and Director Wagner in the queue, but I do wanted to move to the directors who have not spoken to go first, and then I'll come back to both Directors Bartlett and Wagner, and so that everyone has a chance to speak first. So with that, I will move to Director James.
So I'm not even going to comment on some of the comments that have been made about the city of San Clemente and elected officials. I think that just feeds into the emotion, feeds into the drama, and I think we'd be well served just to ignore those comments, and I intend to do that today. I will comment on something that was said at the committee meeting in which it was alleged that San Clemente is trying to be a special interest. Well, we are special and we do have an interest. And that interest is not only protecting our green space, but protecting our community, protecting our homes, protecting the values of our homes. It's too easy to be in a city north of us and go on the attack on San Clemente. What I would propose is we really want to tone down the rhetoric. We want to tone down the emotion. And I think it would be there's going to be nothing wrong with delaying a position for 30 days and putting all the stakeholders in one room. We can talk about this legislation. We can talk about the litigation that's occurring. And I would really like to see that. My last comment I'd make, of the 8 votes on the committee that took a position on this, other than Supervisor Bartlett, I would say no one has walked that area. No one knows what that green space looks like. No one knows what impact it's going to have on our community, on our homes. And that, if anything upsets me, that upsets me. I think we have new board members here who have no idea what we're talking about as far as the location and the impact on the community. And one of the things I would like to do to old and new board members, over and above this proposed committee we would put together, is contact us. We'll walk you through that area. We'll show you what impact it will have on the city of San Clemente. It's too easy not to know the people of San Clemente and just vote, no, we're not gonna protect you. This is I understand this is not about next year or 2 years from now, but this is about at any point beyond that. So I will agree, we don't trust the TCA. Our city doesn't trust the TCA. All I'm asking is let's get behind Supervisor Bartlett's idea of pausing this for 30 days and let's have some reasonable discussions and let's try to move forward and find a solution. Thank you very much.
Director O'Neill.
Thank you, Chair. I have no problem with establishing some sort of working group to continue to study it, but we talk about local control and exercising local control is taking positions on things that affect us locally. We don't have time to wait 30 days as bills move through the committee process, and I think it's incumbent upon us to take a position today, and I would take an opposed position myself. Thank you.
Okay, and there was another, Director Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too support the recommendations that are on the docket here. We certainly as well would encourage the side work as has been suggested in getting something worked out at a local level, but I wouldn't be supportive of delaying action today. And I would also echo what Director Wagner suggested, that we take a second look at 339 Assembly Bill as well as SB 274 and consider updating our recommendations to include an oppose without amendment type of a position on those two actions as well. That I would think would be something we all could agree to. Those are my comments, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Vice Chair O'Neill.
Thank you. I agree with what Director Murphy just said. And then last year I took the position that San Joaquin should probably avoid taking a position because it didn't directly affect them. After careful consideration of that position and speaking with staff and then thinking a bit more about it, I tend to agree that when you have bad policy affecting the regional transportation network, that San Joaquin Hills should take a position on it. And so after consideration, I've changed my opinion on that. So today I'll be voting to oppose. And I tend to agree that we ought to be moving forward, especially in light of the fact that the city of San Clemente has already voted to take a position. It would seem incumbent on us, especially as the Senate moves forward, to take a position now and then continue to work forward as Supervisor Bartlett has suggested. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Bartlett.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So what I think we could try to do is work on two different paths. So with regard to the two pieces of legislation by Senator Bates, SB 760 and 761, if we could contact her today to ask her to voluntarily pause putting those forward in the committees for 30 days, and she would do that voluntarily. Otherwise, the boards of TCA would be taking most likely an opposed position, it sounds like, relative to her two bills. So if she would voluntarily pause on her own for 30 days, that would give us some leeway to try to work things out. And obviously, if she won't pause, then we have to take a position. Or at the end of the day, we get down the road, we need to take that formal position, then so be it. But to give her an opportunity at this point for her not to have the boards weigh in as we're trying to get to a local solution, to give us that opportunity. But if she's not willing to give us that opportunity, then of course we have to take a position. So I want to just throw that out there to see if that's something that my colleagues feel is appropriate at this point, to make that phone call to see if she'll voluntarily pull it for 30 days and give us some time to work locally. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Wagner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And let me suggest there might be a middle ground that does do exactly what Director Bartlett was saying a minute ago in terms of contacting the senator. I've had an opportunity to chat with her briefly as well. And instead of just taking an opposed position, there is, of course, the oppose unless amended position. She apparently is on record as saying this is designed, these bills are designed in part to protect the environmental issues that arise down in South County. And, so maybe there is some negotiation that can be done. Contact her today, talk with her today or over the next couple of days, and say if appropriate amendments come forth that directly deal with those environmental issues, we'd stand down. Might be maybe the better way to go than just the strict oppose that is being proposed by staff. I want to add that I agree completely with Director James that there should be zero criticism of the directors out of San Clemente who are doing their job as elected representatives in San Clemente to represent their communities. But I would add that he should know or probably does know, a lot of the directors have in fact done their due diligence. As I mentioned, I've talked with Senator Bates personally. I have done a tour with agency staff of that area. I previously, in a prior life, been privileged to represent San Clemente in a very different capacity, and so I'm going to suggest the board members have done the diligence that needs to be done, and maybe collectively an oppose unless amended, and further discussion with Senator Bates, who is herself diligently representing her district, is the right way for this agency to go with respect to these two pieces of legislation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Wagner. Director Victoric.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to follow up on some comments Vice Chair O'Neill made. I think my position is well known either to the board directors and staff, and it was similar. I think that I view our boards as separate and distinct entities. And while I know that Vice Chair O'Neill's position has evolved on this, mine has not. And I still feel that these two bills are clearly directed at the 241, and it is appropriate for the 241 board, the Foothill Eastern Board, to weigh in, take a position on these bills. However, I don't think it is appropriate for the San Joaquin Hills Board to do so. Now that doesn't mean by saying we shouldn't adopt an opposed position, that's not to say we should adopt a support position. It's simply saying we should take no position and stay neutral on it. I think that's the appropriate thing for the San Joaquin Hills Board to do. And so I just want to add to that. I know one of the first comments you made, Madam Chair, was that you planned on making a motion to approve the recommendations. And I'm not really sure what motion ultimately is going to be made. But looking at the recommendation, it talks about the state legislative watch list is number one, and I would support Director Wagner's suggestion to add to that. The second one is to adopt a support position on SB 623. I don't want to prolong our agony and ask for a divided or bifurcated vote, so I'll just kind of make a signing statement here that if I were to vote no on that motion, that I actually do support the recommendation that we should support SB 623. But that having been said, with the I don't agree with the recommendations to adopt an opposed position, so I'd have to vote no on such a motion. But because I don't think we should be adopting a position of the San Joaquin Hills Board, I certainly would agree with Director Bartlett's suggestion to see if this can't be worked out between the parties. So thank you, Madam Chair. That's all I have.
Thank you, Director Victoric. Actually, it is my intent to separate the items, so just hold on. Director Mennegar?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask a specific question from our Joint External Affairs Committee Chair, Heft, in reference to the composition of the votes by the two board representatives at the committee. As I heard from, I believe it was Director Beal, that it was 2 unanimous votes by the two boards committee representatives. That's correct?
I believe that was correct. Yes.
And it was 8 by San Joaquin and 8 by Foothill?
I'm not sure of the exact number, but it was unanimous, and we could ask the clerk.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you. You answered my question. Then the second point is that I do recall that vividly back in March of 2020. It was a, it was a big decision that we all made. Actually, specifically was Foothill Eastern board members in reference to Alternative 22, Los Patrones alternative. And, once for all, I thought that decision was made. It was memorialized that no toll road would go through the city of San Clemente. So at this juncture, to talk about something that, in my view, the ship has sailed the harbor. The decision was final, and no roadway to be built within the jurisdiction of the city of San Clemente. So I don't know why we're going back again on the same issue. We always advocate for local control, not Sacramento, to make a determination for us. And we do have specific local board representatives from Foothill Eastern that can make that final decision. So for Sacramento to dive into this kind of decision making, again, to me is inappropriate. And the final thing is that I had long discussions with Barbie Daly and CEO Johnson on this agenda item. And right now, based on what I hear, I think it would be a good idea that the 241 board members ought to be, concentrating on this rather than San Joaquin Hills, but I'm receptive to the discussions from, the board members. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Director Mennegar. I don't see further hands raised, but I do want to make some comments in regards to the board composition on external affairs. We do have equal members.
Yeah, so just to be clear on your question, Director Mennegar, so when it comes to your joint committees, the votes are as a committee of the whole, not by agency. And that committee is made up of representatives from both boards, and 4 of those representatives are members of both agency. So you have good makeup in that board, but I wanted to convey that it was a single vote and it was 9-0, as noted in your committee report in your agenda packet.
May I ask a follow-up question, Madam Chair?
Yes, Director Mennegar.
Yes. So do we have any South County representatives on that committee?
Yes, you do, Director.
Who are those?
So I can tell you, I'll just name off the directors if that's okay. So you have Chair Janine Heff, Vice Chair Tony Beal, then you have Cynthia Connors, Director Kelly, Director Penaloza, Director Bartlett, Director Wong, Director Murphy, and Director Wagner.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I will now make my comments. Well, number one, I wanted to separate items 1 and 2 from the other 2. And the item 1 is receive and file 2021 state legislative watch list. Item 2 is to adopt a support position on SB 623 by Senator Newman, and to also include that an opposed position on AB 339, as well as SB 274, which is the Senate version of AB 339. I wholeheartedly concur with Supervisor Wagner's comment about those two bills. Their onerous mandate, while we like the fact that it allows for teleconference, but it seems that the bad parts of the bill overtook the good intent of the bill. So with that, that's number 1. Number 2 is on a complex issue that we've been talking about for many years, for as long as I've been on this board, in terms of what to do with South County mobility issues in addressing these 2 pieces of legislation. It requires a multi-pronged approach. As many of you are well aware, Senator Bates is the vice chair of the Transportation Committee. Coupled with that, with the Senate suspending the 30-day print bill, she can, and at any point in time, move that bill to committee whenever she wants. We don't have time to sit around and take a pause, but it does not mean, and I want to stress to our members from San Clemente, as well as the residents of San Clemente, it doesn't mean that we're not going to continue our conversation. In fact, I've been reaching out and I've spoken to Director Ward several times about trying to figure things out. There is a lot of directors on this board who are committed to try to find a local solution, as Director Bartlett has coined it. And we are working hard. It's my intent to continue on that work. And if at the end of the day we couldn't come to the agreement, all of us in this room can say that we did try our best effort in resolving, but it does not require a pause on the legislation. In my proposal for motion, and it really brings everything together, especially what Supervisor Bartlett already proposed, is that last year this board took a policy that prohibited CEO Johnson from or members of the staff to speak to Senator Bates' office on any legislation. In fact, I think it was a broader policy that it prohibited staff from discussing with authors of bills that we oppose. And last year it was really just SB 760 or 761's predecessor. So with that, in order to take care of that issue, in order to facilitate discussion, it would require this board, and it would require both boards to approve the motion that I will be making to permit CEO Johnson or members of our staff to meet with Senator Bates. And I would also include our External Affairs Chairwoman, Heft, in that discussion. Since the matters of legislation have to go through her committee, it would be to all of our interests to have our chairwoman there. So my motion would be to permit staff to begin a discussion with Senator Bates. And I want to stress it's not to promote any idea, it's just to begin conversation. It would help with the next item, which is what Supervisor Bartlett has already introduced, and many of us here support, which is the work group. We would be working in complete isolation if we don't know what is it that the author is willing to accept, or what is the author of the bill unwilling to accept. It would be complete work in vain. So I would, in terms of the second motion, it would be for the purpose of
work group.
Okay, so I'm trying to go through all that in my head. And third is to adopt the opposed position. Adopting an opposed position doesn't mean that we are closing off negotiation, as you can see from the first two motions that I'm proposing, that it is for us to continue to speak. Everything must be working in tandem. in multiple prongs. We don't want to miss any opportunities to oppose or to come up with a solution. I do believe that if all of us put our heads together, we can work things out. We don't work things out when we live in isolation and only talking to ourselves or those we agree with. So with that, I would seek a motion first from
So Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I may, so I really appreciate the discussions the board has had today. I think you guys had a great policy discussion, and it does put us on the track towards putting this stuff fully in the rearview mirror. So as you are looking at your notions, at your potential motions, I have 5 items. I just wanted to make sure I'm on the same page with what the board is thinking about when you go to vote.
Okay.
Okay.
So my first thing is to seek a motion for item and it will start with Foothill and then followed by San Joaquin. First motion will be, and I guess I'll make it, and I'm just looking for a second because it's a lot easier. My motion is to receive and file 2021 state legislative watch list. Number 2, adopt a support position on Senate Bill 623. And number 3 is to adopt an opposed position on Assembly Bill 339 and Senate Bill 274. All those 3 items together in one motion.
Wagner, second.
Seconded by Supervisor Wagner. Madam Clerk, please take vote for the Switch Hill Eastern Board.
Point of
Chair Wong.
Point of clarification.
Yes.
Chair Wong, this is Tony Beal. You are planning on making subsequent motions then relative to SB 760 and 761, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. Madam Clerk?
Chair Wong?
Yes.
Vice Chair Miller?
Give us an aye.
Okay. Director Bartlett?
Yes.
Director Beal?
Aye.
Director Chafee?
Aye.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Khan?
Yes.
Director Lombard? Director Murphy?
Aye.
Sorry, this is Director Lombard, yes.
Director Trevor O'Neill?
Aye.
Director Penaloza? Director Taylor?
Aye.
Director Voigt? Director Wagner?
Aye.
Director Ward?
Aye.
Looping back, Director Penaloza? Director Voigt? Madam Chair, noting the absence of Director Penaloza and Director Voigt, the item passes unanimously.
Thank you. And now I will seek a motion from the San Joaquin Hills Board on the same 3 items.
This is Director Connors. I'll make the motion.
Trish Kelly.
Motion by Director Connors, seconded by Chair Kelly. Madam Clerk, please take roll.
Chair Kelly?
Yes.
Vice Chair Will O'Neill?
Yes.
Director Bartlett?
Yes.
Director Connors?
Yes.
Director Heft?
Aye.
Director Hurt?
Aye.
Director James?
Just clarification, this is just for item 1, is that correct?
It is for receive and file item number 1 for the legislative watch list. Number 2, item number 2, adopt a support position on SB 623. And item number 3, which is not listed, but it is to adopt a opposed position on AB 339 and SB 274.
Yeah, and there lies my confusion. The slide I'm looking at is number 3 is adopt an opposed position on 760.
Correct. Number 3, the items for the opposition was brought forward by Supervisor Wagner, because it is currently, staff had recommended a watch position, but board members have expressed an opposition to both. And so we are making the motion to adopt a post position instead of a watch position.
No.
And Madam Chair, just to be clear, that the current motion as item 2 for 623 includes the co-sponsor.
Oh, yes, I forgot to read that part. And it includes agreement for co-sponsoring the bill. Yeah.
Director Khan?
Yes.
Director Minigar?
Aye.
Director Penaloza? Director Reynolds? Director Taylor?
Aye.
Director Victoric?
Aye.
Director Wagner?
Aye.
Looping back, Director Penaloza? Director Reynolds? Madam Chair, noting the absence of Director Penaloza and Director Reynolds, the item passes 11-1.
Thank you. For the second portion would be, my motion is to, number 1, to adopt an opposed position on SB 760. Number 2, adopt an opposed position on 761. Number 3, to permit CEO Johnson and Chair Janine Hess of the External Affairs Committee to begin their conversations with Senator Bates as suggested by Supervisor Bartlett. And I just lost count, number 4, right? 4, that Chair Kelly and I will create a work group to find a solution on resolving the issues facing this agency and our member agencies. So with that, do I have a second?
Trish Kelly seconds.
I see Director Ward. Are you second or you have a question?
No, I have a question. I don't think I'm doing
Okay.
it.
Okay, let me take the second from Director Kelly and then discussion on the motion, Director Ward.
Okay, thank you. So I would ask, Madam Chair, if you could please bifurcate the vote for the oppose or support, or just bifurcate the vote for 760 and 761 so that I will be able to vote for that. But I would also ask for a substitute motion that I guess we can see who votes on this. You know, I would just appeal to the board that if we're going to go into a working group and try to work this out, that we should suspend voting and sending an opposed motion. I just think it doesn't send a good message on this. It's not that San Clemente is trying to lull you into submission where we take your time for 30 days and try to make it so you don't oppose it. That's not it at all. I just think in good faith, if you really want to show good faith and we're trying to work this out, which I believe San Clemente is showing we are doing that, there shouldn't be any opposition letter sent in, because I think that's not sending a good message. So Madam Chair, if you could just bifurcate that from the rest of it so that we can all vote on that to see who is for sending the opposition letter now and who is not.
All right, thank you. Director Beal.
Just a point of clarification with respect to the comments just made by Director Ward. It was my understanding that the city of San Clemente has already taken a formal position in support of both of these pieces of legislation. I believe they're also aggressively encouraging others in the community to send letters in support. So it seems awkward, to say the least, to have San Clemente telling the TCA we should take no position when they have already done so. That was my observation. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Wagner.
Madam Chair, as perhaps the only person on this call who has been in Senator Bates' shoes and personally carried about 100 pieces of legislation, the way to accomplish what you're trying to do here, I believe, is not an opposed position, but rather an opposed unless amended position. And let's get that seat at the table and the negotiations going. I do agree completely with my colleague, Director Beal, that we should take the position, but I think that's the appropriate one to take so that these concerns can get aired. Thank you, Madam Chair. Oh, and so I will make a substitute motion that with respect to 761, the 760 and 761, our position be opposed unless amended.
I'll second that.
Supervisor Wagner, I'm going to lean on your expertise. Could you please explain to everyone the difference between oppose and oppose unless amended? I think that will help everyone, and so we really appreciate your expertise on that issue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just real briefly, the oppose says vote against this bill, that the bill can't be salvaged, it's a bad bill. And there may well be directors who feel that way, but the tenor of this conversation was to work with Senator Bates. Senator Bates herself has held out a bit of an olive branch with respect to her comments. This deals more with environmental issues. The board is on record with alternative 22. And so my sense would be an oppose unless amend invites the opponent in, and the question then fairly gets asked, okay, what amendments would you like? And that gets us the seat at the table. It indicates we are willing to have further discussion, which is, I think, what comes from the second part of your motion to allow Chair Heft to have those discussions. I got to tell you, as an author of bills myself, when somebody says oppose, it's like, okay, thanks, you're done. We now register your opposition. Oppose unless amend always gets me to ask the next question, what will it take to earn your support? Which is what we're trying to do here. And so that's the difference, and maybe a subtle one. Maybe we never get to a position where we can support those bills, but it gets us at the table.
Thank you. And so Supervisor Wagner, one more question for you. If the agency takes a oppose unless amended position, and we can't reach a resolution that we can take to the senator, then will it be necessary to, at that point in time, change our position officially to oppose, or it's still a strong signal to the senator that despite our effort, it's opposed, even though it says opposed with amended?
No, great question. And if we are unable to get the amendments that satisfy a majority of this board, we are opposed. We are, which is why my suggestion is oppose unless amended, as opposed to support if amended. And so at this point, I believe we would need to take no further action and could oppose this legislation if we don't get the amendments we're looking for.
Thank you, Supervisor Wagner.
Can we ask our advocates to comment?
Yes.
Nate Follow.
Nate, do you have something to say? If you on my questions?
Sure, just a point of clarification on that. I think, but based on the feedback from a lot of the board members, it seemed like the theme of local control was coming up, and not wanting, bills in Sacramento to kind of determine how we would make decisions on regional transportation decisions. So my only comment would be that taking an opposed position at this time would still allow TCA to talk to Senator Bates and stakeholders and try to work on the working group that you also described. So I think it would be complimentary for there to be an opposed position, but for all those conversations to also take place at the same time.
Okay, so your position, your opinion is that we can take oppose, but just because we take oppose, it doesn't mean that we are not going to have further discussion with the senator. But I think from Supervisor Wagner's point of view is how will it be received by the author if we come with an opposed position? So
Point of clarification, if I may, Madam Chair, who just made that comment?
Nate, our lobbyist. Sola, sorry.
Okay, well, Ms. Solis been in the game a little while, but has never authored legislation himself. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, I would say the overall discussion and the direction and even the motions that are before you give staff clear direction that we are going to reach out to Senator Bates's office, express the board's position, and look for a solution. I think the direction you've given the staff pending the votes are pretty clear.
Okay. Yes, and Director Chafee.
Yes, thank you. I am a little concerned when we talk about meeting with the senator and these different positions of support, but with amended or oppose, but amended and all those sorts of things. It seems it's the same place in the end of the day. When we talk about reaching resolutions or working it out or that type of thing, where are we trying to go? That sounds very friendly, but I don't know where as a board we have a position we're trying to reach at the end of the day. And I see it that we made a good faith decision last year, and that should have been the end of it, so we can work together and do what we all want to do, which is do the best service we can for the public. So I would certainly vote to oppose. It doesn't mean you can't change that later if whatever this mystical resolution is worked out. I don't, again, other than simply withdrawing the legislation, not doing that, that's really the only position that would satisfy me. So I don't know where it's going to go. This discussion goes endlessly. So I would like to split that out where I could have a clean vote on opposition. And then if there is a further desire to go forward with a meeting with the senator, then is there any direction that we would have that group as to where it should go? So with that, I agree that this vote should be bifurcated, I think is the term. So thank you.
Okay. Okay, Director Mennegar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to thank Supervisor Wagner for his clarification and amplification for his substitute motion to oppose unless amended. If that's the case, then I wanted to second his motion. Thank you, ma'am.
You can't do that because we are working on Foothill first, but you can do that when it's San Joaquin though. But right now we do just have the Foothill motion, and I believe Supervisor Wagner had made a substitute motion, but there has not yet been a second on his substitute motion. So I just want to make that clear. Director Miller?
Actually, I did second Director Wagner's motion, and I just
I
want to
apologize, I hear you. But here you, there you go, there's your second.
Okay. I just want to thank you for him for so eloquently stating why oppose unless amended is the right motion. I made that motion last year and it didn't carry, but coming from a former legislator in Sacramento, I think he was very clear on how these legislators view an opposed position versus an oppose unless amended. We are inviting the conversation to do exactly what we just talked about, is working out a compromise between the senator and TCA and the city of San Clemente to make sure that we do not advance this legislation forward. As you said, Senator Bates is the Vice Chair of Transportation. She can pull her legislation at any time, and this gives us a chance to work out that deal with her. If it doesn't come to fruition, we still have an opposed position on the record, and we don't need, and I agree with Director Wagner that we don't need to bring this back to the board. So thank you, Director.
Thank you, Director. And I just want to make it clear for the Foothill Board that by the substitute motion, it would address what Director Ward had suggested, which is breaking apart the my previous motion. So the substitute motion would only be on the SB 760 and 761, and it's the motion to Oppose unless amended. All right, to make that very clear, Director Heft.
Yes, thank you, Chair. We've been having a lot of discussions back and forth about the possibility of taking an opposed position or an oppose unless amended. And I have a great deal of respect for Director Wagner. I know he comes from, a lot of experience. And I guess my point of clarification question would be, do we have an idea what oppose unless amended would look like? We've been discussing it, but we really haven't talked about specifics. Do we have a plan to actually get there? Are we only talking about the environmental aspect of this? I just wanted to open that up because I think when we make a decision like that, we need to know which direction we're going, especially me as the chair, who would be the one to sit down with our CEO to discuss this in more depth with Senator Bates.
I knew you would ask me that question. So Director Heft, I think what it will be is it will come out of the work group, a lot of that to what we will propose as amendments. And hopefully, actually, we would like her to withdraw the legislation if possible. But I think for your purposes, as well as with CEO Johnson, it would be to understand what is it that will, Senator Bates really want out of that piece of the legislation. We have heard that it's possibly just addressing the environmentals, but it could be other things, items that we don't know. And which parts do we agree and which part we don't agree? Maybe the amendments to her bills, if it is to address certain needs, maybe it can be done without the way it's written right now. There are a whole host of possibilities, but that's what conversation is. Otherwise, we won't know. So at this point in time, I know it will be difficult for you, but it's really, we don't have anything because we want to know what is it that she wants to, because we have not been able to have that dialogue due to the policy we adopted last year.
Right. So Chair Wong, do we agree as a board, since we keep talking about the environmental and the protection of that area, is that something we say, okay, as a board, we would agree that maybe that is something we look at? We've been, looking at pictures of cows happily grazing. We're definitely an environmentally friendly, board. We recognize the importance of that, but I'd like to get a little more feedback on what could possibly be acceptable.
I think that's our CEO Johnson.
Yeah, Madam Chair and Chair Heft, I think our approach would be to talk with Senator Bates, make sure we express the board's concerns that were, covered quite extensively today, and ask the senator and her staff, does she have a suggestion on how her legislation could be changed to address those concerns? I think we should avoid offering something that the board hasn't specifically committed to, because I think that can become problematic. And I know that's what you're asking for, but I think we just have to express those concerns of the board and ask the senator's staff what thoughts they have.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm sitting here, wheels turning in my head, trying to think of what's the best way to approach this, knowing that this is a very important discussion. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and given that we have not had any conversations, I mean, really, this will be our first, and sometimes it's just testing the temperature of the water right now. Supervisor Wagner.
I believe Mr. Johnson just got to the nub of it. It's starting the conversation. It's focusing on the environmental. It's focusing on this board's decision with respect to Alternative 22 and respect for local control. Those are the broad parameters. This board's talked about them extensively over the course of the last hour and a half. And so I think, direction is there to at least begin the negotiations. And I wouldn't, frankly, want to burden that conversation with too much additional direction from this board. Let's let the conversation happen along the parameters that we discussed and that Mr. Johnson just outlined. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So I don't see any other hands raised. So right now we will vote on the substitute motion by Supervisor Wagner. And to repeat that, it would be for the board to adopt a opposed unless amended position on ASB 760 and 761. And we will first start with Foothill Eastern. Madam Clerk, please take roll.
Chair Wong.
Oh, hold on a second. I see Director Chamberlain. Director Chamberlain, you want to say something before we take vote?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's clarifying the motion, even though I am a non-voting member. Does the maker of the substantive motion also include allowing the CEO and staff to start that engagement? I thought the original motion had that and that activity was precluded without it. So just clarifying, please.
Yes, so the substitute motion is to bifurcate the two. So this way, we would just have the substitute.
Yeah, so I think, Madam Chair, you chose to bifurcate and have the votes on 760, 761 separate from the other items. And then
Correct.
on 760, 761, you have your substitute motion. I'll look to General Counsel.
Correct. The substitute motion only addresses the position to be taken on the two bills. It does not address the authorization to staff and board members to have those discussions. So in effect, it's bifurcated the issue, particularly if this is approved.
Okay, so procedurally bifurcated, not verbally, but by motion, but it's procedural, just by the nature of the substitute motion. Hopefully that answers the question and make it even more messy. So, Madam Clerk, if you can take the vote.
Chair Wong.
Yes.
Vice Chair Miller.
Aye.
Director Bartlett.
Yes, with the comment that we'll need some serious amendments, and I'm not sure we can get there.
Agreed.
Director Beal. Director Chafee.
No, I want a clean no vote on the position, not a amendment position.
Director Kelly.
My vote is no, because I don't see any way this can be amended that could be acceptable to our goals.
Director Khan. Director Lombard.
Yes.
Director Murphy.
Aye.
Director Trevor O'Neill.
Aye.
Director Penaloza. Director Taylor.
Aye.
Director Boyce. Director Wagner.
Aye.
Director Ward. Looping back.
Oh, wait, she's muted. Director Warden was muted.
Thank you. So before I do my vote, can I hear the, we have several people that are not present. Can you ask for their vote again?
Yes, we will loop back. Do you have a vote or you?
I would like to, Madam Clerk, or Madam Chair, can I just wait until I hear what those votes are before I comment? I think there's about 4 or 5 votes that have been registered.
Oh, I apologize. It's my count. This is a roll call, so you will have to do your vote.
Point of order, I believe on a roll call vote, you can say pass, and then it goes around to the other members, and then it loops back.
Okay, thank you. So I will pass.
All right, looping back.
Looping back, Director Beal.
Yeah, I will vote aye, but I don't see how this legislation can be fixed with respect to the local control issues that have been discussed.
Thank you for your comment.
Director Khan.
Yes.
Director Penaloza. Director Boyce. Director Ward.
So I appreciate the motion that Director Wagner made. I think it's the right one, but I cannot vote to oppose the legislation. I think there's just too many comments about how are we not going to get there. It's not taking into account that the working group that we're going to form is exactly why we're doing that, is so we can get there. So I will just be, I'm going to abstain from this vote.
Noting the absence of Director Penaloza and Director Boyd, and noting the abstention of Director Ward, the item passes 10-2.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll move to the San Joaquin Board on the same two items of I'm seeking a motion to adopt an opposed position on SB 760 and SB 761. So anybody making a motion on behalf of San Joaquin?
This is Director Connors. Is this motion going to be to oppose with that unless amended?
I think to be consistent, that would be a yes, but you know, I don't want to
Madam Chair,
dictate
this-
what the San
I'm trying to say, the Director Wagner has.
Madam Chair, this is Wagner on behalf of, I believe the motion's already been made and seconded, but it is the same motion that I proposed.
Oh, okay. Oh, I apologize.
Director Miniger did second it.
Thank you, thank you. So it's actually, you're correct. Supervisor Wagner already made that motion, which is to adopt unless, oppose, I'm sorry, oppose unless amended, and seconded by Director Miniger. So Madam Clerk, please take a vote.
Chair Kelly?
And I will be consistent with my vote. Last time I will vote no, because I don't see any way this can be amended that could be acceptable.
Vice Chair Will O'Neill?
I share Chair Kelly's position. I vote no.
Director Bartlett?
Yes, I'll say yes with the same comments about we need some serious amendments. I'm not sure we have a path to get there. Thank you.
Director Connors?
I vote yes.
Director Hess?
Yes.
Director Hurt?
I vote yes.
Director James?
Abstain.
Director Khan?
Yes.
Director Miniger?
I vote aye.
Director Penaloza? Director Reynolds? Director Taylor?
Aye.
Director Vic Story?
No.
Director Wagner?
Aye.
Looping back, Director Penaloza? Director Reynolds? Madam Chair, noting the absence of Director Penaloza and Director Reynolds and the abstention of Director James, the item passes 8-3.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the second, the third item, actually, within a sub-item 10, would be my motion that number one, CEO Johnson and Chair Hess begin a conversation with Senator Bates, as well as the creation of a work group. On resolution, I'm I guess, an optimist. I will hold on to that glimmer of hope. So that is my motion, and I'm seeking a second on my motion.
Second, Wagner.
Second by Supervisor Wagner. Madam Clerk, please take vote.
Chair Wong?
Yes.
Vice Chair Miller?
Aye.
Director Bartlett?
Yes.
Director Beal?
I really apologize. Can you just repeat the motion?
The motion is to permit CEO Johnson and Chair Heft to begin conversation with Senator Bates and create the work group on local solution.
Okay. Aye.
Director Chafee?
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Khan,
Yes.
Director Lombard,
Yes.
Director Murphy,
Yes.
Director Trevor O'Neill,
Yes.
Director Penaloza, Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Voigt, Director Wagner,
Aye.
Director Ward,
Aye.
looping back, Director Penaloza, Director Voigt. Madam Chair, noting the absence of Director Penaloza and Director Voigt, the item passes unanimously.
Thank you, directors. I am seeking the same motion from San Joaquin Board. Will any directors from the San Joaquin Board to make that motion?
Trish Kelly moves the item.
Cynthia Connors seconds.
Seconded by Director Connors. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Chair Kelly,
Yes.
Vice Chair Will O'Neill,
Yes.
Director Bartlett,
Yes.
Director Connors,
Yes.
Director Heft,
Aye.
Director Hurt,
Aye.
Director James,
I'll vote yes, but I have a low level of confidence that this board actually is interested in engaging in serious conversation.
Director Khan, Director
Yes.
Minigar,
Aye.
Director Penaloza, Director Reynolds, Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Vic Sorick,
Aye.
Director Wagner,
Aye.
looping back, Director Penaloza, Director Reynolds. Madam Chair, noting the absence of Director Penaloza and Director Reynolds, the item passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. I really need you guys to hold on a little bit because we need quorum for our closed session, so hold on, okay? I'll move this as soon as I can. Do we have any further public comments? Madam Clerk?
No, we do not at this time,
Okay.
thank you.
CEO, do you have a report?
Nothing urgent.
Nothing urgent. I don't have any new business, old business, and I'm willing to move on. But I will look to my Chair Kelly.
And I apologize,
Oh,
Madam
well.
Chair. I apologize. I did have a time-sensitive item just to share briefly with the board. So as the board knows, safety on the toll roads is a top priority of the agency and definitely for our customers. That's one of the key benefits that customers cite in using toll roads. And to that end, at the board's direction, we have strengthened our partnership with the California Highway Patrol to make sure we have sufficient and targeted enforcement to promote good driver behavior on our roads. And we're going to continue to work with them. We've been doing so in the past, and they've been able to address some significant concerns. But we're continuing that effort, and we are also launching a communications campaign on social media to help put the word out that everyone wants to get home safely to their friends and family. So we are helping the CHP and encouraging that good driver behavior. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Great. That means you will be seeing a lot of social media come your way as well. So with that, Chair Kelly, do you have any report or new business?
Nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, our open session is now adjourned and we will move to the closed session.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The closed session will be a joint closed session of the Foothill Eastern and San Joaquin Hills Boards, conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation under subdivisions A and D2 of Government Code Section 54956.9, significant exposure to litigation under paragraph D2. And we do not anticipate a reportable action. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So with that, Gordon, if you can move us into closed session.
We are live.
Okay, we are live. Mr. Joseph, if you can announce the closed session.
There's nothing to report, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. We will now adjourn our meeting. Thank you, directors. Very much appreciate your participation today.
Thanks, Madam Chair.
Hey, everyone, have a great week.